All right, let's suspend the crab discussion. Let's put a pin in that. What's up, everybody? Welcome to IGN Game Scoop. I'm your host, Damon Hatfield. Joining me this week is Marty Sleva, Sam Claiborne,
Crab Scoop,
and Dan Stapleton.
Ahoy.
And we've got a great show for you this week. We're going to talk about...
Do you think you're going to keep the crab stuff that we were talking about in this?
We never know.
People not even know.
We never know. Sometimes I add it to the end of the episode after the outro music. And it's just a little Easter egg. We got to talk about all the big games coming out this week. We're going to talk about Super Mario Odyssey. But first, let's begin with what we've been playing, because there are some high-profile new releases I know we've been spending time on. Maybe not Dan. Dan was on vacation.
I was crab fishing.
Cooking up crabs and pulling out their tracheas. I spent some time this weekend playing Uncharted Lost Legacy. I know Sam's been playing Hellblade.
Senua's Sacrifice.
Senua's Sacrifice. Which
You played that too, right, Marty?
Yeah, I finished Hellblade last weekend. Finished Uncharted this weekend.
Okay.
Wow, so you're like
Fire.
you're an
Yeah.
overachiever.
Whew. Well, I had to
Fire
review
as well.
Uncharted.
Yeah, I've been playing Pyre too, but sort of just like
Casually.
playing it. I'm not like trying to plow through it.
Yeah.
Although I like it a lot. It's great. Why don't you guys tell me about Hellblade?
Man, I adore Hellblade.
Yeah?
The thing is, everyone goes in assuming it's Ninja Theory who did Enslaved and DMC, so everyone's going in assuming it's going to be a third-person hack-and-slash action game.
Also, it's called Hellblade.
It's called Hellblade, which is the worst misnomer.
Really poorly.
Also,
matched.
it's got 2 L's in hell, but the game is in Norse mythology about hell that has 1 L. So it's not even the right hell.
Is that even the same hell that's referenced in the game where there's like an area you go? It's called like Helheim.
Yeah, but it's just 1
Is
L.
that where our
It's had
word comes
subtitles on.
from? Maybe I don't know. I actually don't know.
What the hell?
Yeah, what the hell indeed.
But with
Like-
one L.
Yeah. But yeah, the game's more of a sort of visual novel puzzle walking simulator.
Yeah.
It is.
I feel totally misled then.
Yeah, totally.
It's like
but a really good one.
It's a lot more like a game like Gone Home or something than it is like Enslaved. But then it has combat scenes. I think the combat gets really repetitive.
Yeah, I'd agree. But the game,
It's in there.
the first credit that comes up in the game before game director and writer is mental health advisor, which is interesting because the
That's the
game deals
first
with
thing.
literally the first thing that pops up.
Oh, so not the end credits.
No, the opening
And
credits.
I know there's 2 different ways to think of this. Like I think Marty's on the other side. I'm on the they lay it on a little bit too thick side where it's like, okay, let me just make my own judgments about this game and what it's trying to say instead of saying right up front, this game is about mental health. It's a game about mental health with a crazy character that has mental health issues. Like that's what the game is doing from the start.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think that's sort of interesting because then you know what you're getting yourself into, and I think the way it handles it is incredible. And I think it has one of the best sound designs. It's your character is schizophrenic and hears voices, and that plays into the
Well, they say
story.
the character is
the combat.
psychosis.
Yeah, which is different than schizophrenia. Yeah, but it is really.
You need a better health advisor, a mental health advisor.
I'm a terrible mental health advisor. I have nothing put together.
So there's auditory and visual hallucinations throughout the game, and some of it's like Eternal Darkness, where if that's an old game, I know. I'll explain it real quick, but it would do things like Psycho Mantis did in Metal Gear, another old game, which probably not.
Like Undertale.
What's a current game that breaks the
uses-
fourth wall?
Yeah, it uses. That's what it does. It breaks the fourth wall a little bit, and then this game doesn't do that very much, but it uses video game effects to augment the idea that your character
Put you in the mindscape
has
of the character.
hallucinations.
Yeah, and Senua, the main character, is personally one of my favorite characters of the recent
She's
memory.
great.
I think
Acted
she's
really well, too.
Acted incredibly. The game's gorgeous. The
Are there
mocap.
FMV moments in that?
Yeah, without spoiling it, every other character in the game is live action.
Okay, because
Senua herself is the only
because
digital character.
they appear in like more hallucinatory psychedelic
Yeah.
ways.
It's a very weird game.
I was like, oh my gosh, this is the best facial animation I've
Yeah.
ever seen.
And then you're like, oh no, that's just a dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has a really interesting behind the scenes documentary in the main
that's
menu
really
you can
cool,
watch.
too.
That's really cool too. So yeah.
Did you beat it? So the game, a lot of what you do in that game is one type of puzzle where you basically have to find a shape in nature that matches a shape on a door.
It's like
I'm
environmental
trying to be
puzzles in The
non-spoilery,
Witness kind of.
But like The Witness, where those puzzles where you draw from a dot down a line in the sky.
Yeah.
Did you play The Witness?
Well, I attempted to.
Most of the game is that, or combat scenes, or just kind of how to maybe navigating an area, but they're not platformy. It's very slow. There is a run button
Yeah.
that helps you. You get hurt at one point, you don't have a run button. So it's like a very you really are just listening to dialogue and watching effects. And thankfully, it's very pretty and interesting.
Game's gorgeous. It's incredibly well written. The performances across the board are really good. Yeah, I enjoyed it a lot.
There just sounds like there's a lot more to this game than I realized.
and any of
Well,
us
that's
thought.
what I
Yeah.
thought. Well, then I realized for sure. But it is kind of, you get it from the first. It doesn't change a whole lot as you play it. And there's maybe a little bit too much.
Like, what's the overall conflict? Like, what is Senua trying to achieve?
It's hard to tell if it's all in her mind or not.
Yeah. Ultimately, you're trying to go. She's Celtic, and you are trying to go into the Norse underworld to right a wrong that has happened in your past. So you're pretty much, you want to have an audience with Hela herself.
Okay.
And you learn about Norse history, even though she's
Through the eyes of an outsider. Through the eyes.
and Norse in this situation are invaders, and so it's like you're being told about their culture, and they have like laid waste.
Yeah, and you learn about things like Ragnarok and Loki and the
All
giants.
this, you'll recognize nearly every god name they talk about, and there's a little bit of God of War elements in that it's like archaeological and interestingly researched. I think that's the second credit in the game is the historical person. But at the same time, like, it's fantasy. Like, there's insane structures in the game.
Oh, yeah.
And whatever you're fighting, like, it's, I've never seen one.
Yeah.
So, like, it's, but again, this is about a person that sees visions. And
Yeah.
How many games can you think of that are as misleadingly named as this one?
Seriously.
you do, there
is a blade.
there's a blade.
Senua goes through a lot. She has a lot of problems, so there's a lot of, like, self-sacrifice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but it is weird. But I mean, like, it's for the best, probably. I don't know how to.
Well,
name
it's also weird
games.
because their other famous game is Heavenly Sword, and so everyone assumed this would be a game like a follow-up to that, and it's not at all.
So there's this thing in the game which we should talk about. It's been a week. I'm not going to make it too spoilery, but you can skip the next 2 minutes if you want to. But
We're gonna spend 2 minutes on this. All right.
No, we don't have to. We don't have to.
Just for safety.
It tells you at the beginning of the game, the very beginning of the game, that if you die too much, it will erase. It'll send you back to square one.
Because every time you die and come back, there's sort of this infection that you have, this like darkness that goes up your arm.
Yeah.
And like by the end of the game, it was like already at my chest, like up my neck.
Yeah.
But
You got up to your neck.
Oh, heck.
Yeah.
Okay, I think I'm not quite there.
1K.
Yeah.
And I'm on the final boss.
Yeah.
But from everything I've understood, is that everybody that we've played with, it's not a risk that's actually happened. Like, it must be.
I was
very
scared the whole time.
hard.
Every time I died, I would get very tense.
So I don't want to like ruin it for people, but I felt like I was pretty scared about that the whole game, and that was a very effective method in the game.
Well, I was like at the end, and I'm like, the end
And my
jumps
hands hurt
pretty
like
hard, and I was like, if I die and this erases my save, I'm going to be the angriest I've ever been in my life.
That's what I thought too.
I will be so furious.
Yeah.
So
I didn't.
isn't that just exactly the same thing as like Super Mario Brothers, where you have X number of lives?
Yeah.
And if you lose them, you go back to the beginning.
Yeah.
You got to understand, there's warp zones.
Also, Super Mario's ultimately like a 15-minute game.
Yeah. You can get back to where you're going to get back to fast, but in this game you got to watch a bunch of stuff. You got to walk around slowly, and it wouldn't be fun to go back through it.
This game also has.
I don't think
this has some very scary things.
It has
I think it's very
really
spooky.
cool moments, and
Yeah.
it kind of teaches you to play in these ways where you don't need to use visual. Even though it's a video game, you don't need to use the TV. There's a lot of audio parts and a lot of like
It's really cool. It's-
parts.
It
And those
definitely isn't perfect, but it's super interesting, and I think people should play it just because it does a lot of things that no game has really ever done.
Unlike Uncharted.
Yeah, well, that's a good segue into Uncharted Lost Legacy, which I played a bunch of over the weekend. Marty said he's beaten it.
I mean, so this is going up after midnight Thursday, right?
No.
Oh no, we can't even say Can we not talk about the game at all?
No.
Okay. Well,
Well, is it going to go up on Thursday?
no, it's gonna go up
it's
before
gonna go up.
Thursday.
Oh no.
We can't even we can't mention the game.
I know we could talk about
And
it.
mention that we
Marty
haven't
can't give a
played it, but
critical
you can't
ad.
say if it's good or not.
Are you reviewing it?
I am reviewing.
Okay, so I didn't know that. Okay. But we can just say we played the game, and can I say whether I liked it or not?
Nope.
I don't know.
Okay.
It is a game.
I played a game called Uncharted Lost Legacy
Or the
for a few
PlayStation
hours
4.
over the weekend.
And our review is coming on Thursday.
And I guess
Thursday at midnight.
I'll share
We'll have to
some
scoop next week.
more thoughts on that later on this week. And Dan
Y'all
played.
got scooped.
That's what. You scooped.
See, if these guys weren't here, this would have been an interesting episode.
Yeah.
The reviewer and the reviews editor. 2 layers of protection there.
Yeah, it's true. And Dan played Crab Bake on his
My favorite mobile game.
Did you bring a Switch with you?
No, I didn't. I deliberately didn't bring a gaming device, although I did have an iPad and ended up playing some FTL because that is a great game. And
And you had your rig with you, right?
oh yeah, I definitely carried around my PC.
You carry your Oculus.
No, I did not do that. But yeah, I went back to FTL because that is a fantastic game. I played on hard mode.
FTL is
destroyed.
Oh, it's so
Yeah,
fun.
that game's really good on iPad.
Hey, what was that VR game you got me to play?
Lone
I was
Echo.
gonna say made me play.
Lone
This is
Echo or I guess it was Lone Echo.
Lone Echo.
Yeah.
Did you finish that?
Yeah, I reviewed it.
That was
It
a really cool
It
game.
is very
that
good.
was recent. And you watched me play a little bit of
Yeah,
it.
just
Yeah,
a little bit.
Pull
It's a-
yourself around in it.
Yeah, zero G,
Zero G.
moving around and then
So it's adrift.
it is
Better.
it is a similar take on or a different take on the same idea. Both of
It's
them
just
are
more actively touching the environment and moving yourself around by momentum.
right. Adrift was came out before Oculus had it was an Oculus exclusive. And Oculus didn't have a hand tracked motion controllers, so it had to use the gamepad to move around, and that just isn't that fun.
Yeah.
There are other issues with that game.
It's my third favorite VR experience I've had.
But you're talking about Lone
that?
You're talking about Lone Echo,
Echo.
not Adrift. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Adrift is
It's in my top 3.
fine. But Lone Echo is really good. Just the sensation of movement you get by reaching out and pulling yourself around and pushing off of things is great.
It's really intuitive. Like
Yeah.
you sort of get it right away.
And like I almost never get any motion sickness in anything, but I'm told from other people who do that you get very little motion sickness from this, just because your brain knows like this is how you expect movement in zero G to behave. So it doesn't really throw you off as much as like pushing a button to make your character walk, and my legs aren't moving, but I'm moving like I'm walking.
Yeah, so it's almost like you disassociate from your chair or your standing position and feel more like you're moving through space in
swimming.
whatever position you're in. Yeah, like swimming, as opposed to you like noticing that you can feel pressure on your feet or whatever, and then you're cruising across the ground. Like there's some difference there, and I totally felt that, although it still made me a little bit motion sick.
And the gameplay in the single player part of it is pretty simple. It's got some puzzles which are mostly just exploring the environment and finding the missing piece you need, and then fiddling with a thing to make it go on to the next puzzle. And the story is okay. It's interesting, but one of the best parts about this is actually a free multiplayer component that they call Echo Arena. Which did you guys see the Ender's Game movie? Mm-hmm. Well, they've got like a zero G training simulation where
with like the stars in the middle, and you can coast from thing to thing.
right. So picture that mixed with basketball. So you've got you got two teams launching from either side, trying to grab this disc in the middle, and then try and throw it into the other team's goal. And there's just so much to
It's
it.
like sci-fi pyre.
Kinda.
I call Pyre just religious basketball. It's Catholic basketball.
But there's so much to
People
it.
are
because
pretty,
of-
the Hoosier, certain parts of the country, people are pretty religious about basketball already.
Yeah, that's true.
But it's all about momentum, basically, because you can get going really fast, especially if you push off somebody who's already moving. You can basically double your speed. But if you miss what if you miss the disc you're trying to catch, you just go sailing past it, and
That's
the,
great.
and the
Because
other
there's
team,
nothing to catch.
right. And there are things around the court that you can catch onto to stop yourself, and you've got jets, but it takes a while to slow down. So if you overcommit, you're just on the other side of the court while the other team basically gets a free shot at your goal. And it's 3-on-3, but it's like
I like
it's like somebody being down, or a team being down a man in hockey.
It's called Lost Echo?
Lone Echo.
Lone Echo.
Lone
And
Echo
it's
and Echo
for-
Arena is the multiplayer component. It's an Oculus Rift exclusive, but I'm told it works very well in Revive, which is the thing that lets you play Oculus games on the Vive.
That exists?
Yes.
It's like booting
Wow.
Windows on your Mac.
Cool.
Kinda.
Interesting. I
Yeah.
hadn't heard that
Revive.
feature. Yeah.
Very clever.
All right. Well, since we can't talk about Uncharted Lost Legacy, I will note that I've been playing the new Knights of the Frozen Throne expansion for Hearthstone a lot, which is really fun. I don't think anybody here with me plays Hearthstone, but it's like refreshed the community, added a bunch of new cards to the game, and the community seems to be really positive about it and
excited about
enjoying,
that
which is a
Dota
little unusual. What's up?
Are you excited about the Dota game?
Well, we'll talk about that a little bit later on in the show. I got an email about that.
Well, we could just leave it there.
Okay, I think that's how a lot of people feel about it. I've also been checking out Slime Son on Nintendo Switch, which is basically Super Meat Boy with slime.
What's
But
it called? Slime's on?
Slime Son, like the Japanese. like,
Slime-kun.
Like, sleeve a son.
The plot of the game is like you are a character playing a game in it, and then you lose your
Yeah,
game.
it kind of has like a green sheen, like a Game Boy kind of look to it, but with like a modern pixel.
Also
style.
about psychosis.
But you're like, but you're like a little monster, and like there's like a little cartoon of that monster playing his game in the upper
cute.
panel, and it's really funny.
Yeah,
looking.
it's been out for a while, but it just came to Switch,
Oh,
and
nice.
it feels nice on Switch.
Yeah.
So cool that it's on Switch.
Yeah. Let's talk about the games that are out this week. StarCraft Remastered is out today.
Yep.
And I'm actually excited for that because as much as I like RTS games, I've never played StarCraft.
Really?
Neither.
Maybe now's a good
Played
time.
StarCraft
hell?
64.
How the hell have you never played StarCraft? But
Because I was never much of a computer gamer. I do most of my gaming on consoles.
Yeah.
all those console RTS.
I know there have been some.
I think it was on PlayStation 64, but people didn't like
It was so bad on N64.
Yeah.
That was the only time I ever played it.
I did play the Warcraft games, all three of them on PC, but I just never got around to playing StarCraft.
So what's different in this StarCraft?
I mean, this one is just a straight
Sheen of new
upgrade
graphics.
of the original. Because the StarCraft 2 is a very good game, but this seems very aimed at the Korean esports community, which even after StarCraft 2 came out, were very reluctant to give up the original and still go back to it. In some places, the original is more popular than StarCraft 2. So this seems like an attempt to keep that community going. It's like, hey, we've got this community of people who love our game. Let's polish this up, make it run better on modern computers, look a little nicer. From what I've seen, I haven't played it yet because we just got it in. But from what I've seen of it, I don't particularly love what they did with the art. But I understand why they did it. They want it to be just as readable as the original. Like you look at something, you know exactly what it is, and
Then it can't have more shadows and textures to make it like environmentally because you have to pop a little bit.
yeah, it's supposed to stand out. And like you look at StarCraft 2 and you look at the Zerg, and they kind of blend together into a big mush thing. They're still as distinctive as they could make them, and it works pretty well. But it's not as stark as these old 2D pixel art sprites running around the screen. So I get where they're coming from. I don't particularly love how it looks. I'm very interested to see what they've done with the cinematics, because those cinematics were great at the time, have not aged well, but
Yeah.
I want to go back and see some of that stuff. And the plot of the original StarCraft, way better than StarCraft 2. StarCraft
Really?
2's plot is not good.
There's 3 campaigns, is that right? You play through each faction's
It's
campaign?
one campaign, but it mixes the 3
Okay.
factions.
Yeah, maybe I'll finally
PC only?
check that out.
I'm sure it's on Mac as well. I'd be surprised if it's not.
Okay, I wonder if my Mac can run it. We'll find out.
Almost certainly.
Agents of Mayhem is out this week. This is the next game in the sort of Saints Row universe, same developers, and it is sort of, it's not a Saints Row game, but it also kind of is.
Yeah, it has characters like Johnny
Yeah.
Cats in it.
Yeah.
Exists in the same universe.
Yeah, that's right. I know John Ryan's working on that review for us.
Yep. Goes up at midnight on Monday.
Midnight tonight. So actually, by the time this is out,
Yeah, I don't know. The game, it seems like this is releasing without a lot of fanfare, even though from what I've seen, it looks like dumb, mindless fun.
yeah,
It sort of is a single-player hero shooter. All the characters have very distinct abilities and supers and cooldowns and everything. But
And you swap between the characters, right?
Yeah, you create a party of 3, and then you can swap between the 3 on the fly. Yeah, I don't know. It looks cool. I think this is a smart time for this to come out. Like, if this would have come out a month or 2 later, I think
Yeah.
it would have got immediately buried by stuff like Destiny and Shadow of War and everything.
Is this going up after midnight?
well, yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
It doesn't have cheat codes, and I think that's insane. It's a GTA
Yeah,
open
okay.
world
And there aren't
game.
any.
But it's more superhero based. It's like Saturday morning cartoons.
Yeah.
But I don't know why you don't do that with these games. And I know that for the last Saints Row though, cheat codes were DLC. I think we talked about it in Game Scoop, and I don't think that's very cool.
Yeah, just play on PC and get some mods.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
but
yeah.
that's exactly right. Is that it looks like a fun game to mess with, and I still don't get why GTA is the most popular game in the world, and GTA cheats is the most popular search associated with it. Like, learn from that example.
Yeah.
Make your game, put some cool cheats in your game. And and there's usually not only mods for PC, but there's PC console cheats, which are just left in a lot of games too. So that's great too. And again, that's great for PC gamers. I'm really happy. But console cheats are really cool for consoles too.
Yeah, for sure.
Look at NBA Jam.
Yeah.
Learn from that.
Yeah, you could
Big head
be
mode.
Bill Clinton.
Was there big head mode in Pyre? I never found out.
I do not think there's big head mode.
All right. You can unlock Bill Clinton.
You can, yeah, you could be Bill Clinton. Yeah.
Yeah, that part's true.
Yeah, they weren't able to get Michael Jordan's likeness, so it was just another player with the number 23. Yeah.
I don't know. I really loved Saints Row the Third, but I kind of got tired of that series after that. So I don't know.
I think the third was by far the highlight of that series. 4 I liked, but I felt like they gave you all like way too much power too quickly. So I just got kind of tired of it by the end of the campaign.
Yeah.
Like I was. It's like, hey, this is really cool. I can run really fast, jump really high. Why do I care about any of these cars? I'm just going to jump over everything.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It also seemed a little bit lazy, like it started out maybe as an expansion of the Saints Row the Third, because all the customization options are exactly the same as they were in the third.
It did start off as DLC for the third, yes.
Also out this week, Cities Skylines comes to PS4, and that is isn't this the when SimCity it was just called the new SimCity, right? And it was kind of a debacle at launch, and Cities Skylines was like
not great either.
the alternative to that people liked. Is that true?
Yeah, so it was a someone basically coming in and reminding people what we all liked about SimCity. Yeah. It was not what we liked about SimCity 2003 and 4, and that the new SimCity from EA and Maxis forgot.
Yeah.
So I have played it on PC. I haven't played it on console. I'm told that the console controls are pretty good. It's been out on Xbox for a while.
Okay. Now it's out on PS4 this week.
Right. And they've also since I reviewed the PC version, addressed one of my main concerns about it, which was, I built up a city and then nothing would ever happen to it. Like it's fun to build up a city, but then like with the original SimCity and all the SimCities really, there are disasters and you have to cope with those.
Sure.
And that it makes it more of a game instead of a toy where you're just a straight simulation. And I really missed that, and I'm glad they added that in.
Yeah. Can Bowser come out like in SimCity on the Super Nintendo? That's also the only place I ever played SimCity.
I don't think they have monster
a lot of
attacks,
people's experience with SimCity, I think.
Also, if Hellblade is the most misleading title of the show, Cities Skylines is the most leading title. What it is.
Also on PS4 this week is Matterfall, the next one from Housemarque.
Yeah.
This one's been a long time coming, long time in development.
It's weird that I haven't got a chance to play this yet, but it's weird that this came out so close to Nex Machina.
Exactly.
It's like they're
Nex Machina was like a surprise.
Yeah, they're generally a studio that releases like one game every 2 years, and then all of a sudden it's like one game every 2 weeks. Yeah.
But I generally like Housemarque games.
Yeah. Yeah, they're carrying that like twin stick shooter torch.
We'll have a review of that shortly as well.
That should be up. Well, the game's out tomorrow, so it's a review's up.
Midnight.
Another midnight tonight review. All right. And then Nidhogg 2 is out this week for PC and at least PS4. I don't know if it's coming to Xbox this week or not.
Just PS4.
Now with stupider faces.
Yeah, so like a lot of people have been playing this in the office this week, and it sounds like they're having a lot of fun. But I can scarcely think of another sequel that made as much of a change to its art style.
Yeah, I mean the first one
game.
was so like iconically minimalist
Yeah.
in terms of like your character was just like a weird neon shade.
figure.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was closer to like a Atari
Almost like
2600
Pitfall.
or
Yeah,
7800 look of a game.
Yeah, whereas this, the backgrounds are gorgeous and the super colorful, vibrant, gross fantasy stuff, but the characters are just like little ugly garbage pail kid boys.
Yeah, they look
Looks like Elmo versus Grover.
Yeah, like well, that was
really
just
weird.
Max and Brian's character. You can customize your characters. It's just Max and Brian look like Elmo and Grover.
It's fine. Yeah, I think it's still fun. I think people
Yeah,
are totally having
definitely.
fun with it in the office. It's just a very stark contrast to the original game.
Yeah.
And I would love to know what the thinking was behind that.
Yeah.
And I get wanting to reinvent the art style, especially like you can't just do the same minimalist thing over again.
Sure.
You can, but you lose all the novelty of like people looking at it and saying, "Hey, this looks really cool."
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I've seen this before.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sure that they made probably a lot of money off the first one, so the budget for this one was higher. So they decided to add those Space Jam Monstars to the games.
Yeah, one man's treasure is another man's trash. So I'm sure a bunch of people out there like the art style more than you guys do. I haven't really played with it yet. I want to because
I still think that is like the perfect arcade cabinet.
Oh yeah,
It's such a great arcade game. Like if that was in a bar and you could get drunk and play it.
yeah.
Friends around an arcade machine.
I've been to
it'd
so
be
many parties where someone turns that on, and it's just so in 5 seconds you understand how to play it.
Yep.
Yeah, it's really simple.
and then somebody throws a sword at you and
Yes.
it's like, I didn't know you could do that.
And this has the different weapons, so there's a little bit
Yeah,
more.
you
to
spawn
it.
with a different weapon. every
Yeah.
time.
Is that review coming?
It's out.
That review- our review's already up?
Should have gone up, but it went up before we came in here.
Yeah.
Chloe liked it?
I liked it.
With a...
Give it an 8.
It's all right. Great. Night Trap, the 25th anniversary edition is out this week, which is pretty cool for us retro gamers. I'm excited about that because as infamous as that original game is, I've never actually played it. So it'll be fun to check that out.
Yeah, and it has a really good soundtrack.
Does it really? Is
Yeah.
it like
Well, it has-
hair metal?
It has a song called Night Trap.
Yeah.
It's not hair metal.
It's not hair metal?
No, it's just really bad pop.
Oh, okay. Well,
That game was made squarely in the 80s and didn't come out until the 90s.
Yeah, it's
So we talked about that on a previous show. But
it's sort of like
Very fun.
from the CD-ROM heyday of digital video.
Remember how controversial the game was
Games.
when it came out?
Yeah,
I feel like
full
we're going to
motion
play it
video.
now, and it's just going to be so dumb.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be,
So-
but it'll be like
it's such a smart idea
in a
for a
campy way.
CD-based game because
Yeah.
it's just about video feeds. That's the whole game. Is like find where these people are invading a house based on security cameras.
yeah,
Like, hey,
it makes it
that makes total
yeah.
sense.
It's true. Sonic Mania is out this week. That's the this is of the two Sonic games. This is the more retro of the
Totally
Sonic,
retro.
two retro Sonic games that are
It's
coming
like
out.
basically like a WarioWare remix, NES remix type thing. It's not as mixed as those games are.
Yeah.
But it's totally mixed up classic levels. And I watched a lot of it be played, and I don't know if you actually
Yeah,
played.
I got to play it. Yeah.
Like
I
Mean
didn't-
Bean Machine just appears out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get to play Mean Bean Machine
Yeah,
in the
yeah,
game.
yeah.
It's
Like
pretty
you
cool.
go into a tube and all of a sudden you're fighting the boss is a Mean Bean Machine boss.
Yeah,
And
does a lot of
pop
really
out
cool
the
stuff.
tube.
Yeah, yeah. I think people are super happy with the way this turned out, and sort of cautiously optimistic going forward about Sonic Forces, which is the sort of more modern 3D take.
Yeah. And finally, Undertale comes to PS4 and Vita this week. That's another beloved game that I have not gotten the chance
Give
to
it
check
10.
out yet.
Yeah,
Did
It's
he
a
give that a
straight
10?
port.
Of that version? Yeah, of the PC version.
But there's some interesting stuff in there because the PC version knows that you've played the game, knows your saves, and plays with that knowledge.
Interesting.
yeah.
Another one. Wait. Hold on a second. If you're playing on PS4, it knows if you have a PC save?
No.
Not necessarily.
On the
we haven't,
PC.
we haven't gotten to play through it yet, so we don't know exactly how it's handled. but-
Basically, if you like restart during a boss fight, it knows that you.
It makes fun of you.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And it plays with that a lot. So I mean, yeah, that's not really how you use the PS4 hard drive normally, but it's not too different. It's just a computer.
There's no reason it wouldn't work. It can see if there's a save file, and like any game can see if there's a save file because it looks at
But I think it has to like save really often, is what I'm saying.
I mean, everything does autosave. Or not everything, but a lot of things. I don't think there's any technical reason they couldn't do that on the PS4, and I say that as a computer engineer who knows all of these things for sure.
Is this the first video game where you could date a skeleton?
I'm
There's
gonna
some,
go with absolutely not.
there's some pretty gnarly Skyrim mods out there.
Oh, okay. Well, you can't date people in Skyrim. Can you?
You can have wives and stuff.
Oh, I didn't make it that
Yeah.
far. I got very bored in that case.
But think about how many
Cats.
Yeah.
think of how many dating
have a
sims
cat
have been
husband.
released in Japan.
Oh, there's got to be just like there's probably an entire skeleton-based one.
Yeah.
Like there's the one where
There's
you're
one
a
about
bird,
there's one about birds.
or you're having sex with birds. One
Yeah.
of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna talk about it because it's a spoiler, but that has a big twist in it that I heard about. You guys got to ask Miranda about after.
What does Undertale or
No, the pigeon game.
the Hatoful?
Oh,
Hot
yeah.
Tub Boyfriend.
Hatoful
The
boyfriend.
New Game Plus of that game was insane.
Yeah, and if you're interested, you're never gonna play it. Just
because the
look
regular
up
one
what
is totally
happens.
sane, right, Marty?
No, this is insane. Trust me, the game totally takes a hard right. Yeah.
It's really interesting. It's like one of the most interesting video gamey game twists I've ever heard of.
All right, that's everything. All the big stuff that's coming out this week. There's also 10,000 mobile games coming out this week.
Justin will review all of them.
Yeah, 10,000 Steam games. Like with their new
Yeah.
Steam Direct thing, they're just the
jeez.
floodgates have opened even more.
Yeah, for
like
sure.
it used to be 30 games a week. Now it's or 30 games a day. Sorry, now it's like double that. It's insane.
We've achieved peak game. Maybe.
Maybe.
Can there be more games?
Maybe there can be more games. Let's check in with the listeners. Thanks. Listeners, remember you can always reach us at the email address, gamescoop@ign.com, just like Henrik Mortensen did.
And Rick,
Strong
And
name.
it says, I'm a big Nintendo nerd from Norway. My 7-year-old nephew is getting a Switch for his birthday pretty soon, and he really wants the new Mario game, Super Mario Odyssey. With my earlier Mario and Nintendo experience, I know that these games are perfect for both kids and grown-ups. But when I recently saw some more footage from Odyssey, I noticed that there's a lot of text and reading. Like, for example, a Sphinx statue asking you a question which you have to answer. A lot of different...
Sphinx say what?
There are a lot of different explanations on how to control the different possessions. A Norwegian 7-year-old boy who doesn't know any English may have big trouble actually making any progress. I find this a little strange coming from a mainline Mario game. Actually, I looked this up. Not a lot of games are localized into Norwegian.
Maybe Heinrich could do it.
Swedish.
He says, is it
called
Swedish? Okay. He says,
Heinrich maneuver.
what are your thoughts on this? Is there too much text in the new Mario game, or should the localization be better, translating the games into more languages? I do remember Sly 2 being Norwegian. He says Norwegian, Dan.
Norwegian's a thing.
So why not Mario 2? I actually hadn't noticed this Mario game having more text than usual, But I wonder if that's the reason why it has an E10 plus rating. Remember that we actually wrote a news story on how this isn't E for everyone. It has an E10 plus rating.
Comic Mischief.
I wonder if there's just more reading than a normal Mario game.
It might be that. I mean, again, none of us have played a ton of it, but from the 2 levels I played at Comic-Con, I don't recall more reading than a traditional Mario game. I feel like Mario Sunshine had.
Daisy tells you to do stuff. She says to find the musicians.
You don't have to listen to her.
We played Summit E3 as well. I don't recall a single word of text in that.
Yeah.
So there's probably, I guess, obviously there are some sections where you do have to read, but
I think you could probably. I don't know if Andrew was able to get a platinum in Persona in Japanese. Anything's possible.
And we're all playing Mario games for the story, so you really got to absorb that.
I want to see Bowser's marrying Peach. I want to know what's going on with that wedding.
Yeah,
got his tux on. He's got a weird hat.
It's an arranged. What are their arranged marriage?
Yeah, what are the vows going to be like? Who's the best man? It's probably Dry Bones. Classic Dry Bones.
Like more than any other game franchise, I think the Mario games are all about just the sheer joy of moving Mario around in that space, and these are really big environments. So I think a 7-year-old Norwegian boy could have a lot of fun just running Mario around and jumping on things.
There's like a million moons or whatever you collect in the game. So if you get the one that you don't know what's going on, just
think about it this way: if it only came out in Japan, I think we would all import it and play it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Right? Yeah. Like no question, because that wouldn't be a daunting text-based game for me.
Mm-hmm. No.
Whereas Persona, I wouldn't do that.
But Andrew Goldfarb
did.
No sane person would do that.
And that stinks that Norwegian isn't a common language for things.
Yeah, I was actually looking up. There's very few games are translated into.
And the worst part about that is that I would normally say, look, maybe you could play it in German or English and just learn a new language.
Yeah.
But you're just going to hear Mario just saying like one word every 5 minutes in fake Italian, and that's not going to help you learn English.
You can learn how to say wahoo and wahoo.
Just seeing words is not enough.
Let's go. This is Elijah Cox. He says, first, I love your show. Now, as a big Valve fan, I was super let down when their new mysterious game, Artifact, turned out to be a Dota card game. He says, now I wasn't expecting Portal 3 or something, but I'm still kind of let down that it's not at least a new IP. This seems to be a trend with big fantasy series, starting with Hearthstone, which I love, by the way, but then it blasted off from that, with Elder Scrolls Legends to Gwent to Gearbox's new game. Do you think this is just a cash grab for AAA companies to stick their foot in the closing door that is mobile freemium gaming? Or is this just some companies trying to expand the player base, draw people into their big AAA titles? Now,
we have to be careful because card games are the original loot box, and we talked about loot boxes last week.
Yeah, we did.
And I'm not talking about video game card games. I'm talking about card games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You get the
You get
booster
a pack
packs.
of cards,
yeah.
and it's random, and you have to keep buying them.
Sure, that was Magic the Gathering or Pokemon.
Or even like baseball trading cards.
Yeah,
You don't know what's in there.
That's why I quit playing Magic the Gathering after like a few months. Like
Because you were broke.
Spent so
well,
much.
that and I'm like, hey, this is just taking all my money.
Wait, first off, I don't think the freemium market is a closing door.
No, it's a widening door.
Yeah.
But
Especially globally.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I don't think it's widening in a sense of like more and more. What I'm saying is, I think the top 10 freemium games list on the iTunes charts just never changes.
Gotcha.
There's just
Yeah,
like
it's
the
always gonna
same
be
10 games.
Clash of Clans,
like,
Pokemon Go.
Yeah. But I don't think that model is going away either.
I mean, you say it never changed, but like Pokemon Go came out last year.
That's true.
It's not that old a game.
It's not, but it's not shifting
it's
like
like-
ND or NPD.
Right.
It's not like it's a new 10 games every month
Yeah,
like
yeah.
MPD
Right.
is.
Although, I mean-
GTA 5 is there every month.
But I mean, like Pokemon Go is a good example where of the volatility because like that game was way more popular, at first than it is now. I mean, it's still very popular. And it's still it's still going to be on that list for a long time.
Yeah.
But something could just blow right past it like tomorrow.
Yeah.
But going to Artifact, I understand why a lot of people were disappointed. There's like a very funny video where everyone loses their minds when they reveal the thing's called Artifact and when it says a Dota card game.
Miranda was sitting next to
right
that
next to
video.
Nick. Yeah, that's our pal. So that was really funny. But I think people are disappointed. Yeah, I get it that you want Portal or Half-Life, but don't discount the fact that Dota 2 is one of the biggest games on the planet. And by entering the card market, I think Valve legitimately does have a chance to go head-to-head, if not dethrone a thing like Hearthstone.
So Valve is a great developer, and they don't make games very often these days. So it's definitely interesting. But there is, I get the sense that they're coming to the game a little late. They're joining the table a little late. Hearthstone is like 4 years old now, And we also have Elder Scrolls and Plants vs. Zombies and Gwent. These are all card games now. So.
There's a Plants vs. Zombies card game?
And it's really good.
Oh, I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
it's totally good. Plants vs. Zombies Heroes.
Yeah. Apparently, this is just what Mitch was telling me. Mitch used to work here. Big Dota fan.
R.I.P.
R.I.P. I don't think he's dead. He has to finish that
To
game.
us, he is.
Yes. He said it plays more like Dota than any of the other card games play like their inspiration. Like it has lanes and all of these things. Whereas like Hearthstone, you could totally strip away the Blizzard elements and put anything else on it, and I think the gameplay would still be relatively the same, right?
Yeah.
You've just replaced them with stock fantasy things, whereas this is like deeply entrenched in the gameplay of Dota.
I hesitate to call pretty much any game a cash grab. Like,
Yeah, especially from a company like Valve, who's like the last company that needs cash.
Also, isn't
Well,
it
'cause
technically
they're
isn't
so good at
everything a
cash
cash
grabs.
grab?
Right,
Because
yeah.
ultimately, doesn't everyone want to grab cash?
Yeah.
well, yeah, it's like very few people are making games they don't want to sell.
Yeah.
But I can see how this one could be kind of integrated into the Steam ecosystem
Yeah.
in ways that nobody's done yet. Just the way Steam trading cards work, I could definitely see them
Sure.
trying to wire that into this card game. So it seems like they've got a way to make it more of a integrated system than any other game does. More part of the overarching Steam experience. And so for Valve, it makes a lot of sense. Like it sounds like a very clever idea.
Yeah. I mean, for someone like me, I've never played Dota, but I do love card games and I love Valve games.
Yeah.
So
There you
sure,
go.
I'll check this out.
Yeah, and like people who love card games, like people like me who don't really play. Like I played some Hearthstone and it was fine, but I would get crushed by anyone who knows what they're doing. People like me are like, wow, there's way too many card games. I don't want any of these. But people like you who like card games, like, hey, great, another card game.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
to each his own.
I didn't catch what the timeline on this game was. Is it coming?
2018.
It's like next year game.
Yeah.
I'm sure they'll have a beta before, probably end of the year.
Run for a long time. Like Gwent's been in beta for a long time. Gwent's not out yet, even though a lot of people played that game and a lot of people like it. It's still not out.
Yeah, define out.
And the other thing, I forgot there's the Fable card game as well.
All right.
Yeah.
Is that one out?
Fable Fortune.
Fable
Fortune.
That one is out.
It got pushed back.
Okay.
It
But
was
like a couple
it was
weeks.
Yeah,
I think it's gonna be out in like August.
Yeah, it was about to come out a couple weeks ago and then didn't.
And there's a Pokemon one.
It is.
Although
Yeah.
I think that's still going to be a beta
Collectible,
launch.
yeah.
Sure.
And of course, Magic is still a popular video game version.
Who could forget about
The video game
Yeah,
versions are
haven't
not
done that.
super popular.
They haven't done that in a couple of years.
They
Was
tried
yearly
actually.
for a long time.
They had a yearly release with Duels of the Planeswalkers, and then they got totally smashed by Hearthstone, and they were never really able to
Really?
recover from that. Although I think they've been saying recently they have a new digital version of Magic that they're going to release soon. So we'll see. But the physical version of Magic is still uber popular. This is Steven he says greetings from Bruges in Belgium.
Great movie.
The movie
Love their beer.
Are you speaking of
Bruges.
of the movie In Bruges?
I am. It's
That
a very
is
good film.
it is a very good movie.
Yeah. Peter Dinklage. He's the little man from Game of Thrones. He's in that.
Natalie and Bruges?
Yeah.
The name of her hit single is escaping
Torn?
me. Torn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
90s, so early 2000s.
Only 90s kids will remember. Steven says, love your show as it is my guide to stay up to date. He says, I play as many new games as I can and also play remastered ones, those which I missed during release years ago. But I still miss that one game which I loved and started my PS3 console with. Ghostbusters.
Very
The
correct.
2009 game, that is. The new one is more than disappointing. With all the remastered games popping up here and there, I still have not heard any news. Have you heard any news on a Ghostbusters remaster? If so, what would it take to see this happen?
Yeah, it
that
came out with a
is-
bunch of ladies in it.
No, he's talking about the game.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which was it was an official sequel
Yeah,
to the movies.
It was written by Dan Aykroyd and Harold Ramis.
yeah, and had all the original voice actors. And a lot of people liked that game.
a lot of
I think
people did not like it either. I think it was a pretty divisive game.
I think it got 7s.
It did,
Which
yeah.
is kind of,
Yeah.
I beat it. I don't remember anything about it.
in terms of a remaster, though, there may be licensing issues. In terms,
Definitely, like,
Yeah.
I think it's-
you've got all the original actors and the writers and all their voice talent in that game. So there's probably the rights to that game are probably a little tricky.
I think it's probably still on Steam. That's a good
Yeah,
question.
I haven't. Yeah,
Unless the said licensing issues ate it, because I believe that was an Activision published game.
Oh, weird.
I know a lot of
Well,
Activision licensed games got
Activision-
pulled from stores.
and Activision still has the Ghostbusters license, if I'm
They
not
do.
mistaken. 'Cause
Yeah.
they released
They-
the bad one from
yeah.
last year.
Yep.
So yeah.
But Activision seems to be doing less and less licensed stuff, which is good because a lot of the stuff they were doing was really bad.
Yeah, it was
those Transformers games were awful,
Yep.
except for the High Moon ones were great, and then the following one not so good.
They put out the bad TMNT game last year too. Is that right?
Yeah.
They put out a couple of those.
Platinum ones, right?
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
made by Platinum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would not expect that to happen. Long story short.
You should just play Luigi's Mansion. That's like Italian Ghostbusters. Yeah, it's great.
This is JD from PA.
Whoa.
And other acronyms as well.
Hold on. But just one more thing about Ghostbusters. I played an awful NES game this weekend called Ghoul School.
Ghoul School.
Ghoul School. And it was made by Gary Kitchen, who's like a pretty notable developer who ported Donkey Kong to Atari, which is hard to do. But this is a game where you're a punk and you're in school and it's filled with ghouls and you hop over them and beat them with a bat.
Wow.
It's not good.
I don't know. Everything you were saying
I
has
know.
the makings of a masterpiece.
And the soundtrack's pretty good too. And the ghouls look amazing. They're like big, like dripping, like weird looking eyeballs and
It's an
stuff.
NES game?
But it just sucks.
Can you describe the box art?
Yeah, it has a school, and it's you're looking up at it, and it looks like really scary, like almost like the
Like a
school
Castlevania style
at night.
box art?
Are there any ghouls on the cover?
No, there's not a single ghoul,
All right, that's
but there's
impressive.
lots in the school. Like it's just filled with them.
Does it
Sort of
contain words?
So I don't recommend that if you are, if you're playing a ghost game.
sort of the predecessor to Lollipop Chainsaw.
Yeah, definitely.
Does it
do re-
contain the words boys and ghouls?
No, I do recommend Monster Party though.
The game Monster Party.
Monster Party's good.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. I don't think I've ever seen or heard of Ghoul School.
I think it's pretty unusual. I never encountered it back in the day. But picked up the cartridge, tried it out. It's dumb.
That was your hot takes.
All right, this is JD from PA. He wants to know, what are your thoughts on music in video games lately?
Ghoul School.
Video game music. What has it done for us lately? As a huge fan of video game composition and sound design, I absolutely love when the music and sound are married together in such a way as to create the perfect atmosphere for whatever feel the game is going for. That could totally be the lighthearted, bouncy tunes of a Mario game or the orchestrated epics of games like Final Fantasy. I also love games that go light on the music and heavy on sound design and atmospheric noises like BioShock. However, as much as I love the insides and metros of the world, I have a soft spot for old-fashioned video game composition. I love games where there are dozens of themes for various areas and activities in the game, like the forest theme, the inside someone else's house theme, or the overworld theme.
Shovel Knight did a good job with that.
Yeah. You always need a theme for when you're in other people's houses.
The home invasion thing.
Yeah, I mean, that's where you spend most of your time in
The
RPGs,
Night
right?
Trap song.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he says, what are your thoughts on original music and games today? Some of my favorite games of the past few years have had beautiful soundtracks and themes like The Witcher 3, Child of Light, Donkey Kong Country, Tropical Freeze.
Pyre and Thumper are the two that you should check out.
Pyre has a great soundtrack.
Freaking out for Pyre's soundtrack.
It's really good. Well, I mean, but all those games,
Yeah, it
even
really
like
appealed to me.
the
They have an
original
Darren
Bastion.
Korb is the composer of Bastion, Transistor, and Pyre, and all three of those soundtracks are really incredible. I think this has been a really good year for game soundtracks, honestly.
I completely agree with that.
Nier, Persona 5.
Zelda.
I think the Zelda soundtrack is incredible, even though it's very sparse. And you're just out there, climbing a mountain. You hear the wind, and then there'll just be like a light little like jazzy piano chord.
Yeah.
And it's so effective.
And then the Lost Woods has like the really good
so good.
music.
Yeah.
I was,
and then
I was so annoyed by the Zelda soundtrack because like it just felt like it was just withholding that classic theme.
well, you get sort of a well,
There was
I don't know if that's a spoiler.
There
or
was
not.
one part where
There are hints of the theme,
but it's just like, come
key
on,
moments.
Just give me that. Give me a little hit.
Yeah.
A little taste. Come on.
Yeah.
And it
Dan's
never did.
Castle has
Almost.
some of the best like progressively transforming music.
Yeah, it's really cool.
procedural. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, yeah.
What in like Banjo-Kazooie style, where it just changes the instrumentation.
Yeah,
as you-
yeah, or Monkey
Yeah,
Island.
that's kind of what we were looking at today with the that sort of NES.
That was amazing.
tool. Yeah.
Did you ever talk about that on GameScoop?
No, because I've been wanting to like bring it on to the show and work it into a game. Let's see if we can do that in the future. I've mentioned this before. My overall feeling about video game music in general is I do feel nostalgic about the time when video game music was video game music, and like and every console had its own like sort of sound.
And
that
men were men.
that it was generating. Like the NES music sounds like NES music because there's a very specific sound chip that generated the music for every NES game. And when it turned over into CD games and video game music could just be whatever, it
Yeah.
could just be orchestral music or rock music
Yeah.
or hip hop. It lost a little bit of magic for me. I do miss.
That's a really good point.
Yeah, that's why I
But
think
now, you like obviously,
Going back to try to synthesize those sounds is a whole industry now.
yeah, for sure.
You know, and I really respect people that work with that, especially after seeing what it looks like.
Yeah, even a game today that has retro chiptune music, you know, it was composed separately. It's not being generated on the fly by the sound chip in your PS4.
Yeah,
That's
and it's
just not a thing
generally
anymore.
it's almost like in the way like Shovel Knight is using current technology to make its music, and so
Yeah.
it is like a like sneaky adaptation of what traditional 8-bit music was like.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, in Pong, on that
Mm-hmm.
board, there's no ROM. It's every component on a Pong board. This is the original, very first, most popular video game ever, Pong. You know, it was a huge hit. There's no game code stored, so everything on it is just a component, right? Like a capacitor or other chip or a resistor. Like, it's that simple. And one of those chips on there could produce a tone. So Nolan Bushnell, well, yeah, well, and like you think about what that means, it can just be like ooh, or ee, you know, like that's what a tone production is. And so Nolan Bushnell told Al Alcorn, I want it to be this big applause when you lose or when you win, but a big boo when you lose, right? And he's like, sure. So he came up with dink. Big, bang. And that's all he could generate. Like that was the extent of it. But it was still a modification of a chip that does, you know, whatever it did in the game. It wasn't meant for sound by any means. It was like basically overclocking it to make it do anything, and then hook that up to a speaker.
Yeah.
And it's just failing loudly. and that's what Pong's sound came from.
Love that.
I wonder if Shark is the same way, because Shark did not have any sound from what I remember when we were playing it.
It was a loud arcade.
Yeah, maybe that's true.
Maybe it did. Yeah, but then, you know, the Atari 2600 used a famous sound chip called the Pokey, which had lots of tones.
The original Pokemon.
Yeah.
Household name, Pokey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't that like raw fish with lime juice?
It's great.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
It's tuna.
Pokey is so great.
It's a crab,
Delicious.
man.
Hawaiian
He doesn't
kind
want
of
to hear about your tuna.
And that brings us to video game 20 questions.
Woo.
Our suggestion this week comes from Kent in Florida,
Oh.
a place where they probably sell a lot of Pokey, if I had to guess. Let the questioning begin.
You're just thinking about Florida.
Yeah, that narrows it down right there. It's a game of oranges.
It's only a handful of games.
Nickelodeon was from there?
Yeah, sure. Did this game release after January 1st, 2000?
No.
It's an oldie.
But is it a golden oldie?
Yeah, is it from before 1990 even?
Yes.
Oh, Sam, this
So
all
it
you.
is before 1990.
Darn.
Yes.
All right.
Is it from before 1985?
Yes.
Oh, all right.
That's the NES
Pong,
caught up. Yeah.
So, I mean, obviously, clearly this was an arcade game, well, unless it's Atari.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or it could be both.
Was this game, did this game have sequels?
Yes.
Absolutely. I love that game so much.
I've never played Zork.
Is this a multiplayer game?
Can you specify what you mean by multiplayer?
Can two people play it at once, I guess is what I'd say.
No.
Okay.
Probably take turns
Yeah,
and play.
So it could be like something like,
Pac-Man.
yeah, Pac-Man.
All those games. I'm trying to think of a way to like narrow the arcade. I mean, we could just ask if it's
I'm trying to think of like, maybe some like, are there still versions of this game being made today? Or is it one of those games that sort of got left by the wayside?
let's see. Oh, like today instead of just sequels right after.
Yeah.
right?
Is there a contemporary sequel?
Yeah. Is there a contemporary sequel?
Yes.
Oh,
It'd be Pac-Man, that championship edition.
Yeah, that's
Two
crazy. Or
came out, yeah.
Galaga or Space Invaders. Or is this an arcade game?
Yes.
Okay. We needed to sort that out because if it was a PC game, we'd be here all day.
I mean, I guess to narrow it down, it would be.
So an arcade game from that early golden era that still has games. There's so few.
How do we differentiate between something like Pac-Man, Galaga?
Yeah. Well,
those are- the
those ones are
genre-
all. I was going to say Japanese versus American design is always a way we like to go. That's-
Yeah.
But that's kind of hard with those, and I don't want to.
the genre for those is arcade. So being an
Yeah.
arcade game, kind of.
I mean, I guess you could talk about your verbs. Like in Pac-Man, you can't shoot things. Do you shoot things in this game?
No.
Interesting. That's great.
I guess that's Pac-Man.
I'm gonna.
still be Qbert, could still be Zork. Zork wasn't arcade.
I
And there's no recent Zork, right? There's no modern
There
Zork.
was one like few years ago.
What do you? That's not in the arcade, dude.
I know. That's what I said.
Zork, the arcade game, could be pretty
That'd be
interesting.
the worst arcade
I've always wanted to make that arcade cabinet
What's
because
Zork?
it had really good art, and you could just put like a Commodore 64 keyboard in it. It'd be just a black screen with an opter.
And just insert coins every what?
Do you eat fruit in this game? Oh,
No, I don't
so
believe
it's not
you do.
Pac-Man.
But you eat vegetables apparently because you had to think about it.
Uh-oh.
You had to eat a tomato, and is that a fruit or a vegetable?
It's a
Depends
Japanese game?
mechanically or.
Is this a Japanese game? No, and that's 10.
Okay, so that's a lot harder. Not harder. It's just different.
So you're not shooting anything.
It's not Galaga. It's not Pac-Man. We could have eliminated all those to know it's not a Namco game in the arcade. So like it's likely Atari or Midway.
What? Who made Qbert? I don't even know.
Gottlieb.
Okay.
What?
But Qbert doesn't have contemporary games.
I mean, there was something Qbert like.
Yeah.
Oh,
Was it like there was a Pitfall as well, wasn't there?
you're thinking of Uncharted: The Lost
That wasn't
Legacy.
in the arcades. I think this. I mean, I'm gonna go ahead and ask this. It might be a burn of a question, but did this come out after 1980?
Yes.
Okay, because I don't want to get all the way to
Don't wanna go
this
too
and
far
have it
back.
be 70s games.
So it's not Shark.
So that's the height of arcades. The Crash was in '83, so we have a little tail in there, but it's going to be a big popular arcade game. We've all played a million times. Or so Williams, something like that would be around. So Robotron, Joust.
But you don't shoot.
Spy Hunter. No, you shoot in
Spy
Spy
Hunter's
Hunter.
good.
You shoot in Spy Hunter.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be Joust because Joust is 2 players simultaneously.
Good point. Good point. Did this use a joystick?
Yes.
A lot of games are trackballs and stuff.
Oh, I guess this could be Donkey Kong.
No, because that's a Japanese design game.
I disagree. I don't think Miyamoto is.
Shigeru Miyamoto is a
Agree to
pretty
disagree.
Western name.
Yeah, it's Norwegian. He's
So-
upset he cannot play his video game in his native language.
Yep. And so is Frogger.
Frogger's
It's a Japanese design game. Yep. Sega published it. Konami, I think, developed it.
I don't.
So yeah, there's very few Atari games that take that. So I'm leaning towards Williams, but then a lot of those are shooting games. Or I still like Qbert. I think that's great.
It'd be like Centipede, Millipede.
Yeah, those are the 2 trackball games.
Oh, those
That's
are
why I was
trackball.
trying to eliminate those. And then Asteroids is all buttons, no joystick.
And shooting.
Shooting. All right, how do we narrow this down? This is going to be tough.
Tempest. It's not Defender. It's not Asteroids. Not Robotron.
I can't tell with Damon's facial expressions or with the Florida clue
Ooh.
whether we're on track or not.
Could this be? When did Dragon Lair come out?
So we've had Dragon's Lair on this twice,
Oh,
but it could still be Dragon's Lair. Yeah, I think it was 85. 84. 84.
tough.
Is it based on a license?
No.
Is
I
the
just keep going.
is the name of the game the same as the title character?
I love
Or,
that
or
question.
the title? It wouldn't be a title character. If it wasn't. Is it named after a character in the?
I think so.
Okay.
That's great.
Pretty sure that's.
I love that.
that's a really good question. Now I'm just very.
So we got like Kicks. No,
Big
that's
Doug.
Taito. So sorry.
Big Doug. Oh, that's tied up to you, right?
Yeah, Dig Dug is Atari.
That's Atari. So it could be.
No. Namco, sorry. That's right.
You broke the fourth wall.
No, it's Namco. Yeah, that's right. It's an imported game. But Atari did publish Dig Dug here.
What
I just want to throw that out there.
hell other video games are there?
Yeah, there's quite a few, unfortunately.
And can we find out if it's Qbert at this point? Like, can we like ask some questions around Qbert to see?
Yeah, but what contemporary Qbert game is there?
There was one. I'm sure there was
Witness?
Qbert.
Witness is pretty much like contemporary.
A modern day
Is
Qbert.
I got a way to do this. Is the company that made this game still around today?
No.
Ooh.
Okay, so it's not Atari, but it's Gottlieb is not around today. They made Qbert.
Yes.
So that's good. And Williams is not around. They made a ton of arcade games. Yeah, is this a platformer?
Is Qbert a platformer?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, it's Qbert. great.
Should we guess that? Or I guess we got. How
Is
many
this
questions
game
do we have?
about
4
swearing?
questions left. Is it about swearing?
Does it have a big swear on the side?
Yes.
Wait, Qbert has a swear on the side?
Yeah.
What's he saying?
He's saying it's just a word balloon that has
There's a bunch of like
you know what you
wingdings?
used. Yeah. It's like a hashtag and an
Oh, okay.
ad. and
Yeah.
like,
Why is Kubert swearing? Is it Kubert?
Yes, it is. And there are contemporary Cuber games as recently as last year. They made a new Cuber game.
we gotta try them.
It's not supposed to be any good.
Is it Newbert?
No, but I think there's probably been a like, at least one Cuber game released every other generation or so. I remember
Really?
Kubert iPhone game, I'm sure.
there was a new Cuber game
Cartoon.
released for the original PlayStation that
That's
I
in the 50s.
played at E3 in 1997 or 98, and they at the demo kiosk they had the PlayStation controller set up at an angle.
Yeah, that's
So
great.
you could use the D-pad,
It's 'cause
as
it's
across.
amazing.
So that used a joystick, but it went diagonally. So if you try to play that in like a collection, or if you make yourself a MAME kit, it's super confusing.
Yeah.
it doesn't work right.
That was like playing. There's a couple isometric Rare games in Rare Replay that were
Oh,
similar
really?
to that. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like Zaxxon is a Sega
Yeah,
game
yeah,
where it's on a weird plane and it doesn't work either, or
Yeah.
Congo Bongo. Two cool things about Kubert, really quick. One is that it has a hammer inside of it.
Yeah.
So when you fall to the bottom, when Kubert falls off screen, it times it and it goes, duck, and then a little hammer hits at the bottom, a little solenoid fire.
There's a
So
sound
it sounds
and-
like Hubert's hitting the bottom. Of the
But also, there's like a physical, like you'll feel the vibration of the hammer
really
hitting.
cool.
So it really seems like Hubert fell and landed at the bottom of the arcade cabinet.
and like it's set up
like
to
a
look
physical
like-
Like
feedback.
the other kids are like, get him out of there.
Yeah.
It's the original Rumble pad.
Yeah, and then two is that Mellow Yellow did a tie-in where you could win a Kubert machine, but they changed the ROM, and so there's these like 3 or 4 Kubert machines out there where it's like Kubert with a straw drinking Mellow Yellow when it started up, and one of them was found like home use only. Like a couple years ago,
Love that.
and just like a collector pulled it out of the winner's house or whatever, and it's like gorgeous. And now you can put that ROM in your game.
Yeah.
And it's a great T-shirt. There's like Kubert drinking Mellow Yellow from that like promotional era that's been bootlegged.
To go back, I do agree. I think his
Maybe
name is
licensed.
Kubert.
Yeah.
I've been under the
His name
impression
is
that his name
Kubert?
is
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a cartoon about Kubert where it's like a not Grease. Like Grease or Happy Days.
Yeah.
Like it takes place. He has like a leather jacket.
Yeah, he's like a cool high school kid. And
Yeah.
he's in a band or something.
Smokes cigarettes. He throws his toothpicks at the.
He hangs out with Q Ernie.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hey, Kubert. I'm really glad it was.
Not a great
I'm really glad it turned out to be Kubert because I said Kubert
You
so
said
many
Kubert
times.
Yeah, you did
like
great.
question 5.
Yeah.
I think you nailed it.
Yeah, you were there.
But I said it so many times, and usually when I do that, it turns out to be something completely unrelated.
1982 for that game. I don't know if I would consider it a platformer.
Platforms.
I mean, there is a lot of jump. He only jumps.
Yeah.
Jumping
But
on a
I might just
platform.
say like action game.
And you jump-
Arcade game.
Yeah,
Yeah.
an arcade game.
And you jump into like a portal on the side. That's warp zones.
Well, it's a floating disc that takes you up to the
Oh,
top
yeah, I
of the
guess it
pyramid.
doesn't warp you,
yeah,
does it?
you have to lead the snakes off there. The snakes jump down. Pretty
Gottlieb.
cool game. And yeah, he like when he dies, he says a curse. He says a swear,
Kubert.
but it's censored,
Yeah.
and it just sounds like
Just saying
blah, 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 blah,
garden.
blah.
Ag Nabbit.
Early instance of voice. It's like it's artificial, like a robotic voice that's
It's
being
like-
generated.
I mean, I think they were using the same thing you used to generate voices, but they just mixed it up.
yeah,
which
just
is
made it
really
sound like-
cute.
yeah.
Gottlieb, based out of Chicago, mainly a pinball manufacturer from like the 40s,
Yeah.
which is crazy.
Kubert.
Can you guys name another Gottlieb machine? I mean,
Well, it's interesting that they didn't make more because Kubert was a big hit for them.
Yep, they made Kubert's cubes next. And then,
They made the game cubes.
yeah,
All right.
yep.
Thank you for the suggestion, Kent from Florida. And that is all the scoops we have for you this week. Remember, you can always reach us. Oh, I forgot. I have important housekeeping notes. Next week is Gamescom in Germany, and I and Brian Altano, Andrew Goldfarb, a bunch of other fun people will be heading over there to
All UK and EU offices.
cover the show for you. We'll be live streaming 3 days next week, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. I don't know what the exact times are going to be,
Here
translated
on
here.
the Pacific
yeah.
West Coast of the United States, the time is, I believe, 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. It's like a really bad.
Early in the morning for
early
here.
in the morning.
It's
thing.
not as early
But
though.
We'll
for
have
the-
it basically
East
before
Coast.
noon. We'll have it like in repeat. And stuff
Yeah,
like that.
we'll be repeating it. We have lots of big games on the show for this year. Assassin's Creed Origins, Wolfenstein 2, Monster Hunter Worlds, Battlefront 2. And I think EA has already even said they're going to show space battles in Star Wars Battlefront 2.
I'm so excited for
And
that.
we have
Next week.
Sunday. We have the Microsoft conference. Monday we have the EA conference. So
Yeah,
it should be
yeah.
like
So
a
there should be
little mini E3.
Yeah, there should be a lot of fun stuff coming out next week. So just look for content from us in Germany all next week long. We will be doing a game scoop from the show, but it'll be more of like a Gamescom wrap-up update. It won't be a numbered episode. It'll be a special one-off episode. And then the week after that, I'm going to be on vacation. So we're going to take 1 week off. But then when we come back, it'll be GameScoop episode 450. We've got a couple of fun things planned for you. So please be excited for GameScoop 450. And that is all the scoops we have for this week. Thank you, Marty. Thank you, Sam. Thank you, Dan. My name is Damon. This is IGN GameScoop. And we're out.
Welcome, friends, to Unlocked 309. It is the world's #1 Xbox show, pre-Gamescom edition. Hopefully we'll have a lot more to talk about next week, because this week, not so much. But coming up, we do, in fact, have one important topic that affects everybody with an Xbox, and that is Microsoft looking to, quote-unquote, fundamentally change how they approach achievements. So we'll talk all about that coming up, as well as how you can get it in on the Insider program to get dashboard preview updates, Ubisoft opening a new studio in another new country, and a new game that may sound a little familiar, but it's just a random new game that none of us had heard about till today. Just got announced out this fall. We'll talk about that. So I'm Ryan McCaffrey. Sean, the Shark Man.
Chop, chop. It's been a while. Thank you for having me back.
Yes. Glad you're here. Brendan Tyrell also.
It's been a long while.
Coming off the bench.
Yeah,
I like
right?
it. And Marty Sleva, him too.
It has not been a while.
No.
1 week.
It's been a long week since.
Yes. It's hard to believe.
Yeah. So, we're actually recording early this week because of our IGN show on Disney. They got the whole place, every video asset, every
lockdown.
producer completely tied up. So this is all we could do. Therefore, a lot's going to happen this week. But no, actually, theoretically, it shouldn't.
It should all happen next week.
It should be pretty quiet leading into Gamescom, which we'll talk all about on next week's show with whatever. Microsoft is having a briefing. It's going to be noon Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern on Sunday. That's this Sunday, August 20th. So you're going to want to tune into IGN for that. We'll be carrying it, as well as, in fact, these same lovely people right here. We're going to do some predictions that'll kind of a pre-show that's going to run right before that stream starts. So tune in about 11:45 Pacific or whatever, 2:45 on the East Coast. So look out for that. Guys, I wanted to start first with the big story that we do have this week, and that is friend of the show Mike Ibarra from the Xbox executive team saying that Microsoft is looking to, quote, fundamentally change the concept of achievements. He was speaking to Windows Central website, and he says that his team is, quote, working towards a bigger, more meaningful change about somebody's gaming accomplishments in history as a gamer on Xbox. We can do a lot more to reflect and let people show their gaming history and their status. Whether it's somebody who only plays multiplayer in Halo 5 at a professional level, maybe they only have 2,000 gamer score, you want to be able to celebrate that person. And he says, we're going to go big in the area of letting people show off and represent their gaming history and the type of gamer that they are, far more than we do with gamer score. What do you guys think this is going to look like? What are we talking about here?
I mean, it's interesting because fundamentally, achievements haven't really changed in the past 12 years.
Yeah.
I mean, since the 360 launched.
Yeah. Everybody they were the coolest new thing in 2005, and now everybody does it.
Yeah, exactly. And then the same thing on Sony's side. Like, trophies really haven't changed since PS3. And so it is interesting them saying this. The thing I've always wanted is somehow being able to cash in gamer score for something, whether it be
was the dream, right?
Yeah, whether it be just like currency on the Xbox store or a game or even like a skin for your avatar or something.
That would be great.
It always kind of surprises me that they haven't done that.
I mean, the more you play the platform, the more you're incentivized to continue playing on the platform.
Yeah, or even like tying, like you were saying, like a T-shirt for your avatar to a specific achievement. Like the Halo, the 7-7 one comes to mind, right? Like really difficult achievements to get, where you have to play on the 7th of July in order to get this achievement. Like that nets you a T-shirt with a 7 on it, something like that. You know, not quite cashing in for marketplace, but something similar.
From what they're saying here, it sounds like that's the direction they're going, is for particularly difficult things that there are going to be some sort of cosmetic way to show off to people, whether it's emblems or something on your avatar itself.
Yeah. As long as it remains cosmetic, I'm mostly all right with that.
Yeah.
What I don't like is kind of incentivizing people who play on the platform a lot with like monetary rewards. Like you can buy a game with those points or whatever you achieved.
Why don't you like that?
I don't know. I feel like it puts people at a financial disadvantage or a time disadvantage. Like the older you get, the less time you have, the less potential you have to earn enough points or whatever it is to spend on games that other people might be able to get. I just don't like an uneven playing field like that.
It's like for me anyway, it's to relatively speaking, younger, more time, less money.
Yeah.
Older, and then it just goes the other way. It's always in balance.
I can afford games.
I'm all right
I just
with
don't
that.
have the time.
Exactly.
That's all right. It's good for your character to not have money when you're young.
Yeah.
Everyone should be poor for a little bit.
Gotta earn it.
It builds character.
You gotta earn it.
Yeah, I don't know. What do you think this is going to be like?
Yeah, I'm thinking the same thing, like maybe some sort of badging on your profile. Like
That's
you might have
exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah, like, I could see them even letting you change the font or color or just the actual everything about who you are in that digital space. Not just the avatar, but even your actual like name and like they've dipped their toe in the water on this already, like with the how many years you've been an Xbox Live Gold member, and it's like a different shape and cool thing. Like I have the coolest one because I go all the way back to the day one thing. That's which is like, and it's kind of neat. Like I'd be like, yeah, check that out. That's pretty sweet.
So how long? What was that? 15 years?
It's now. Well, it's November 15th, 2002. I'm thinking of the beta.
Yeah, it's about to be 15.
Yeah, so it's coming up on 15 years. So it should be a 14 on there right now.
That's
Xbox already kind of dipped their toe into this as well, but there is a showcase on your profile which you can choose to assign achievements into, and it shows like it displays up to 5 of them. If they made that a little bit more
pronounced,
more pronounced, and then the badge it was like a badge, not like basically the Xbox equivalents of trophies. Yeah, you could pick and choose which ones to display in there, and they were more indicative of kind of your achievements in game. I think that'd be a cool way to show off, because I've actually run into a lot of people like this who they have like 200 gamer score, but then if you click into their service record on Halo 5, I play a lot of Halo 5 still.
They have 12 million kills.
Yeah, like huge amounts of kills. They're really, really good at that, but you wouldn't know it by looking at their Xbox profile. You have to look at their service record, and I can see where there's a little bit of dissonance in that.
So it basically gives you like, a digital trophy case to say, these are the ones that define me as a gamer.
Yeah.
You can check out my top 5 ones.
Yeah, and at any point you could switch them in and out. And like if they were more relevant, I know that developers, I don't know, I mean, I think it'd be really cool if the milestones were really relevant towards the type of player that you were. Like if you were a multiplayer only dude in Halo, it was like not just an hours one, but a kills one, and like a weapons one. Like I'm a battle rifle expert or a sniper rifle expert, or like you think it'd be funny, like I've died more than anyone else or something like that. It'd be really funny. Cool.
Getting back to what you were saying about this, Marty, that what immediately came to mind, even though it's not quite an apples to apples comparison, was 1 versus 100.
Yeah.
Because that was it's the only time, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm going off of memory here, but I believe it is the only time in Xbox history where you could actually play a game and win money.
Yeah.
Microsoft points. I remember there's one. I won $1. I got, because it was a random draw if you got to be the 1 or even in the mob, the 100 mob. I got to be in the mob. I think just the once, and ended up I won $1, and I think it was. I feel like there was something else attached to it too. But yeah, it was like that 80 points. Yeah, 80 back. But back when it was Microsoft points.
Yeah.
And for those of you
youngins, when it wasn't to $1,
$10 gives you 800 points or something.
Yeah, 80 points to $1.
Available now for 240 Microsoft points.
Once you bought Microsoft points, you never ever had zero balance ever again.
No, it was impossible.
I mean, that was the goal, right? To make sure you always had something in your account, so you're like, I might as well just add some more in there.
It stayed like that for an absurdly long time.
A little too long.
Yeah. Too long.
But yeah, that was you could actually do that in 1 versus 100. R.I.P. Phil, bring it back. Come on. Well, that should be the next thing we champion after. Well, I guess we got Banjo 3 on the list.
Yeah.
We have
Bring back Fable.
Blinks. That's the one I was blanking on just for a second there. Blinks is on the list.
And then one versus 100.
And one versus 100.
Fusion Frenzy. Come on.
One wants Fusion Frenzy.
No.
What are you talking
Get back
about?
in the producers. Get off the show.
Fusion Frenzy
Go.
is awesome.
No, it's a bad game
No.
for bad people.
Maybe 3 or 4 of those of the 60 or however many games were really cool.
Well, then guess what?
3%.
Yeah.
It's one of the 2 original Xbox backwards compatible games announced so far. So
There
have
you
fun
go.
playing it on your Xbox One
Sean's
again.
have his one-man 24-hour
No
live
one
stream.
can beat me at that screw game where you have to run up the screw and
I'll
dodge
bet
things.
you don't even have the disc anymore.
I don't. I mean,
Yeah.
He doesn't love the game. He doesn't even have the disc anymore.
my OG Xbox got lost in translation, man.
Yeah.
No, I know how that goes. It's unfortunate. All right, let's move on. I wanted to note a lot of people have tweeted me wondering, like, oh, I want to get in on these dashboard updates, the early access stuff. Microsoft has made it. It used to be they had to invite you, and then like you could, if you were in, you could invite people. Now they've just said, forget it. Come one, come all. If you want to opt into this, anyone can join the Xbox Insider program, formerly known as the Preview program. It's split into 4 rings. So there's the Alpha ring, the Beta ring, the Delta ring, and the Omega ring. Omega being the outermost, and that's the one that you can, anybody can opt into. And then if you're useful to Microsoft, if you're a humble bug reporting soldier, they might let you up into the higher tiers. After that, that gets you access to earlier things. But again, user beware. Early things don't always work like final things do.
Yeah.
So, like I'm still not in the insider thing.
Yeah, neither am I. I don't know. I'm not particularly interested in free Q&A.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like, I don't know. That's. I'm not trying to be cynical.
No,
but
no,
just,
I get what you mean. It's just like you just want to turn on your console and use it.
Yeah.
So you'll just wait, and I feel the same way. Just wait till it's officially released, and I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
But when getting back to 4 old guys sitting around the table at this point,
Hey.
when I was young, are
You're
you
one of the
30 yet?
oldest.
I'm 30.
So welcome to the club.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Like I remember, I used to, when in my teenage years, I was going nuts I would install the pre-release Windows versions because I was a big PC gamer back then. Like the Windows 98 early build was called codename Memphis when they used to codename them after cities. And I remember like it was, and I knew like anything could go wrong and my whole system could get totally jacked and I'd have to format the whole thing and start over. But I just wanted to see wanted to see what it looked like before it was out. And so I totally get it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I'm just too old at this point. I'm fine. Wait for the final. I'm like that with early access games too. I respect the heck out of people who pay the money early and they become an active participant in the community and helping to give feedback on the game. I'm just like, I'll play Ark Survival Evolved at the end of the month when it comes out.
Yeah.
Thanks to everybody who has helped the developers work on it for the last 2 years in the early access.
I mean, you see something like PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, which is one of the biggest games in the world.
That's a great
That's still in
point,
early access.
yeah.
Yeah, and there's a sense of community in there when you get in early.
Very
right?
true.
Like Rust, back when that was the big thing. Man, I loved jumping in there and just like reading the change logs and having these emergent stories. Like Mitch and I would talk about it and just, oh, what happened? Well, I got hunted by a group of men and they found me and murdered me. And then my game crashed. And I was like, oh yeah, mine too. Cool. So there's this awesome sense of like anecdotal community involvement.
Absolutely.
That is in there. But I'm with you, man. Like, we all talk about the never-ending backlog now, and there's just too many things to do for me to spend time on something that might crash at any moment, or
and is going to get better later.
yeah, and and I'll be able to experience it in its fullest later
Right.
on. Yeah, absolutely. So I'm in the same boat with you.
For me, it's dependent on what the changes are. So I am in the preview program, and most of the time, like I think only 1 or 2 of the times have I actually opted to try out the changes that are coming, because it actually gives you an option like to activate the build or not when you're in it, or you can just stay on the current stable whatever.
At least you're
OS.
given the option.
Yeah, I think the last time I activated it was when they redid the whole UI for the Xbox, and it was supposed to be way faster. And I was like, I do want to try that.
So have you tried the
No,
new
this was
one?
like this was like last year. Like
So
the last
yeah,
one
now
that they
now
did.
the new one's up for
Yeah.
Insider.
Yeah, and like I'm a little less interested in it. It comes down to like the feature set. Like we were dealing with at that point when I tried the preview program the last time or activated the build. It was very much like the architecture was a little bit, or the architecture of the OS and the display and the UI was a little bit slow and a little unwieldy, and you couldn't really find things.
Yeah.
And there were a lot of changes coming to the new build, which we're currently on, that looked really awesome, and I was very excited about that. And so I wanted to jump in and give it a try. This time I'm less interested in that because I think the current one works pretty fine. So it comes down to the feature set. If there's some awesome new feature or functionality that I really want to try, that's in the preview build, I'm the type of person who gets excited about that stuff and is willing to go in and give their feedback to make it work better. But if not, then I'm less interested.
Major Nelson did post a little sort of walkthrough video of the new UI, the new dashboard, and even in its current state, it looks like it's very zippy. It's
Yeah.
very quick. Some people have had complaints about sort of how they're utilizing the real estate, but I'm eager to get in and try it. It looks like it's definitely a big change.
Cool.
Some people have complained online that, I know people complaining online. Who does that, right? That it's like, oh, they just changed it recently. I don't want to change it, but it's like, well, do you want them to make it better, or do you want them to just wait 6 months arbitrarily? Like, no, make it better.
Yeah,
I mean, I
like
thought-
at some point Windows upgraded to Windows Millennium, and we left it there for like 10 years, and like would have loved a real quick change after that.
Yeah.
Well, thank God for Windows XP.
Yes.
Bringing it back. Do we have a tentative launch window for this, for a public push?
I'm not sure. I would presume it's going to be timed around or slightly before the X.
Yeah.
They'll want to
make
have
it
it publicly rolled out by
Yeah.
then, so that people that bring home their Xbox One X get this new dashboard
Yeah,
experience.
because the last big one was right after GDC. I think it was March or April, so that would make sense. About
Yeah.
6 months after that.
Remember way back when there used to be, it was the spring update and the fall update, and there would be like tons of features packed into each one.
Yeah.
But now it's better this way, where it's just an ongoing, almost usually monthly update.
Yeah.
It's smaller changes typically, but it's just always improving.
I
Which
mean,
is
it's
fantastic.
also more reflective of like the time that we live in, like iterative small updates all the time, as opposed
Yeah.
to giant patches like twice a year.
Yeah.
Yeah, very true.
Bring back the blades.
Yeah, seriously, I'm all for it.
Blade system for life.
You think you want that, but you really don't.
It was the
I miss them.
this is random. The lead sound designer on Oxenfree. Was
Where are you
the
going
Sound
with this?
designer. He made the blade noises.
Really? Oh, that's cool.
Which I like. I love those noises. They made all sorts of.
I love Marty does the blade
Yeah.
sounds.
Yeah.
And I love how fast you're scrolling.
Yeah,
there.
it was great.
You're
Oh, yeah, I
you're
went real quick.
zipping from
Yeah.
marketplace to
Yeah.
games to media. You're blowing through the blades right there.
Yeah. And then he made Spooky Island hipster noises for Oxenfree.
Think about that. That shows you where we're at in terms of the tech. Like there was a media tab where you could like listen to your CDs.
That's right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
I wonder. I would have to think that somewhere at Microsoft campus there is like a room, almost a museum of sorts, where there's builds of every major OS
UI,
from
yeah.
Windows and then from Xbox as
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
like original Xbox and then all the 360, the blades to the NXE. To the one after that, and on up Xbox One.
And then
I hope that room exists.
And then there's the Zune just on one sad column
Kill me.
with a single light down on top of it. You guys
might be
remember that?
That might be my favorite joke in all of Guardians 2.
Oh yeah. This,
Oh, it's a Zune. It holds 3,000
Everyone on Earth
songs.
is using it these days.
3,000 songs?
what was the thing? What was the unit of measurement for the original Xbox? Was it blocks?
Yes,
It was-
good memory.
everyone
And you-
had 50,000
plus
You
blocks
never-
all
yeah.
the time.
How many blocks is that? You'd install a game that you thought was huge, like
And you still had 50,000 plus.
Didn't
yeah, or
matter.
it was like 1,000 blocks. You're like, cool.
Well-
then you install a game that you thought was tiny, and it's like
You're like, what is a block?
1,000 blocks.
Considering,
Okay.
well, you couldn't install games, so you were
Right.
really only dealing with save
Saves,
files,
yeah.
Yeah.
which are inherently smaller. But you were dealing with an 8 gigabyte hard drive. So a block must have been a really tiny
Yeah.
unit of measurement.
Like, there was at least 50,000. Yeah, that's a kilobyte. Yeah.
So Phil, here's a test. We like to test to make sure he's still listening from time to time. Tweet me and let us know if that room exists somewhere where you can go look at every major iteration of every Microsoft operating system ever. I want to know. Yeah. And if it doesn't exist, it should exist.
Yeah. You mean like a physical thing?
Yeah,
I'll bet you like
cool.
I'll bet you like builds exist of it on engineers' laptops and stuff. But like you want like a museum where you can
where it's preserved,
booted up on a machine. Yeah. Okay.
Because if it's on some engineer's laptop, it risks being erased at some point for
nothing is erased on the internet
reasons.
these days.
Yeah.
Well, it's not on the internet. It's on Microsoft's
but
private
like
servers.
Yeah, they're internal. They're intranet. Is that what it's called?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I really like the idea that you need like clearance level 9 to go into that museum.
Oh yeah, like thumbprint access and
it's the room from at the end of Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah. Feels like I can neither confirm nor deny.
Right. All right, let's move along here. Ubisoft making a little news this week. They've announced that they are opening a new studio in Stockholm, Sweden, home of developers such as, namely, DICE is the sort of, they rule the roost out there. They have appointed, Ubisoft managed to poach Patrick Bach, former EA DICE manager, to lead that studio. Had he left, or did he go straight from? I don't remember hearing.
I don't remember ever
leaving
DICE.
I
feel like he's big enough to where we would have wrote that up.
Exactly. Yeah. So I wonder if Ubisoft just made him an offer I couldn't refuse.
Yeah. That was Vito Corleone.
Right. For you youngins.
Yeah.
So, according to a post on Ubisoft's official blog, they'll be called Ubisoft Stockholm.
Yeah.
Good job, guys. And they're going to work with Massive Entertainment, who's also located in Sweden.
Yeah, they're in Malmo.
Yeah, and they're of course the developers of The Division, and now they're working on James Cameron's Avatar: The Game.
I have a hot take. That video game's never going to come out. That is never going to be a real game.
They have said it will not be out until at least 2020.
Wow.
Is that when the films, Sean?
Those movies are also never going to come out.
The Avatar sequel is slated for 2019 now.
And there are 4 of them?
And there are 4 of them.
And then 3 is 2020, and then 4 is 2022, and then 5 is 2023, I think.
Yeah.
So there's like a year off between the two.
I know that Avatar made
they will of course
a record sum of money.
Yep.
Yeah.
But was anyone really besides like a movie studio executive anyone besides Max Scoville looking for Avatar 2, let alone 3, 4, and 5?
I mean, here's the thing.
Probably James Cameron.
He's got more money than God at this point.
He's got the two highest grossing films of all time. Titanic,
like 3 or 4 of them. I mean, that's the thing is like everyone says like, you know, when Avatar came out, the world was different. We didn't have like Marvel's cinematic universe wasn't in full swing. There was kind of like a vacuum for action movies, and it came in and filled that space, and that's why it grows so much. I don't know, man. Don't bet against James Cameron. The dude has hit it out of the park literally every single time.
I mean, that's fair.
Don't bet. Like, I guarantee you, everyone's like, we don't need Avatar 2. And then the moment we see that trailer, everyone's like, Avatar 2.
What's blowing my mind is they're already making like Avatar-themed amusement parks.
It's open at the Disney Animal Kingdom
it's already
in Orlando.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And now, that's not to say, like, I don't remember the main character's name or what the planet's called.
Pandora.
Yeah. Or what.
Blueville.
Basically... Yeah,
Smurf Village.
They were mining for unobtainium.
Yeah,
that's right.
So terrible.
That's right.
Gosh, there's a lot wrong with that franchise that makes it maybe not seem like the proper candidate for a franchise, like in a connected universe and theme parks and stuff. I totally
ACU.
get that, but just I don't know, man.
Sorry, it's happening.
Yeah.
I mean,
does that mean are we gonna have to hear Sam Worthington's name more?
Yeah, like what happened to that dude too?
I thought we all agreed as a society that he's done.
I mean, the last
he was
movie,
great in Black Ops 1, Call of Duty Black Ops.
After Wrath of the Titans.
He was great in the phone. Wait, was that movie? No, Man on Ledge.
Yeah, Man on Ledge. The
aptly named for the main character who stands on a ledge the whole movie.
Like
you're thrilling drama.
You're going to talk about Phone Booth, right? With Colin Farrell.
Colin Farrell. I got him briefly mixed up.
The entire movie in a phone booth.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember I saw Avatar in the theater in 3D, and I was like, that was an incredible visual experience.
Sure.
Yes.
And then I never needed to see the film again because I didn't think the movie was that good.
It's not. That whole second act has.
Oh, the last 45
minutes. Does anyone even remember it?
No.
Like nothing happens. They run around in the jungle for
Avatar
a long
the
time.
game, what's that going to be?
Dude, I'll bet you it's timed with the sequel, and I don't know. We've had like a back in the day, licensed games used to be like unequivocally bad,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
across the board.
Yeah.
But
I
we've
mean,
had really good ones
Ubisoft already
recently.
made a bad Avatar game.
Yep.
That's
There was a
right.
bad Ubisoft Avatar game that came out alongside the movie.
Really?
Yeah.
So maybe this isn't even just like a recent development, but I mean, recently we've had like AAA big time developers take on licenses and knock them out of the park,
Yeah.
and that's really cool.
Yeah,
so
they-
maybe there's hope.
I mean,
is
Crystal
all I'm
D is
saying.
doing Avengers. So
Yeah.
Maybe we got
That's
an
right.
Insomniac Spider-Man coming
Yep,
out. That
that's
looks
very
really
true.
awesome.
Yeah, it's interesting I know we're just kind of veering off on a tangent here, but the arc of licensed video games, they went from pretty good in the 80s as NES games. Like there were some good Aladdin, well, it was a Genesis game, and I guess Super NES as well, but that was great, and there were a handful of other ones.
Ninja Turtles.
Sure.
Controls are good.
And then, in the sort of 2000s and that generation, they were unequivocally terrible.
Yeah.
They were farmed out for the cheapest contractual rate to whatever developer would take on a project for that little amount of money.
Well, I think
and they were horrible.
movie studios saw that video games were a profitable business and took
Yeah.
that opportunity simply just to market it,
But
like to make
then-
extra dollars off their IP, and didn't really think about the games being.
Well,
good.
yeah, you make a budget game and then let the license sell it.
Yeah, but then that ended. Like I remember when The Dark Knight did not get a licensed tie-in game, and
Yeah.
I was like, that is weird.
Yeah. And then
Like,
going
this
forward,
is-
a majority of the MCU didn't get one.
Yeah.
Batman Begins had one.
Yeah.
EA Montreal, I believe, made that game, and it was okay.
Yeah. But
And then
Dark Knight was around the time that Arkham was going strong, right?
Arkham, it hadn't quite. That was 08, and I think Arkham 1 was 09.
Yeah.
I believe so.
Maybe they saw the
They-
runway
they
for
may
Arkham
have.
Asylum and
but
wanted to steer clear.
But anyway, so we went to no licensed games practically anymore until movie studios and publishers found out about these.
Yeah.
And then they became
smartphone
cheap,
cases.
horrible. Yeah.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, I was about to say, for those listening, Ryan picked up his phone.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I know. I should remember that 99% of the audience.
Wait, what is he referring
It's a
to?
visual
There's
medium.
a camera in front of me. What do you want?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we got all the licensed tie-ins on phones, and I guess to an extent that's still happening. But yeah, you're right. Now we're starting to get publishers and IP holders, movie studios taking these IPs much more seriously and investing a lot more money into them.
Well, it's just a more holistic approach to what your brand is, like multi-medium, right? Like before, people I genuinely think people in Hollywood didn't think anything of video games. They saw that they were making money, but they didn't think that if our brand exists as a terrible video game, then it won't affect the movie's ticket sales and stuff. Where nowadays, like all of our media is so connected that, yeah, if you do, like I genuinely think that the best Walking Dead is the video game, and that helps elevate the whole brand across the board. So
Yeah.
you want that type of thing.
Then we had our strange, isolated examples in history where something like the Chronicles of Riddick: Escape from Butcher Bay,
Yeah.
better than the
Yeah.
film,
Way better than it
way
deserved
better
to
than
be.
the
Yeah.
film.
Whoa, wait a second.
Yes,
Okay.
including Pitch Black.
Pitch Black is pretty cool.
Pitch Black's pretty
also,
good.
Pitch Black's
Chronicles
cool.
of Riddick is pretty cool too.
No, it's not.
That movie ends with him like time traveling a knife into some dude's head. Like that's so cool.
Wasn't the
Yeah.
fire planet called Crematoria?
I mean, there's
Is this just the episode of terribly named things? There's unobtainium and crematoria.
there's a lot of weird stuff that goes on in that movie, too. But it's pretty.
Necromungus.
It's like they just found some 20-year-old aspiring heavy metal singer.
Yeah.
No,
and said,
dude.
you name everything.
It is straight up like a young adult writer saw a cover for a heavy metal album and was like, "This is my universe."
Oh man.
Yeah, there's been some terrible licensed stuff. Do you guys remember Real Steel?
Oh, yeah.
The
movie?
Shaq.
Is there a game?
No, no,
Is
no.
that
Shaq?
No, that was just
that
Steel.
that was Hugh. That was Steel.
Hugh
yeah.
Jackman?
Hugh Jackman
A boxer.
put
retired
a
robot.
washed-up boxer who builds Rock'em Sock'em Robots.
Oh, and
out
that
in the
had
ring.
remember that had the Xbox 720 banner in it.
Yeah.
Before,
Wow.
remember that?
So, like, illustrating the whole point about taking whatever frame of a game you have and throwing a license on it. The same company who did that, which the name escapes me. It's not Jaeger, but I think it's something like that.
That's Pacific Rim.
It's the exact same company. They took Real Steel essentially and then made Pacific Rim with
What?
it. Yeah.
Oh, no
So
way.
they came out a couple years apart, but it's essentially the same game
File save as.
with different licenses on it, and they're both terrible. They're both so bad. But this was all like during that time of like middleware, right? Before that fell out of the industry. where you just have these budget stuff on like XBLA or the XBLA marketplace. Like the
To bring
Watchmen
it-
had a game.
You're totally right. To bring it full circle, what I'm saying is that there's hope for the Avatar game yet. It might be cool.
Yeah, I mean, because clearly Ubisoft is putting a lot of money into this
Sure.
game.
totally.
So that's a good sign in the sense that that offers it a chance for it to be good. And not that low budget games can't be good, but it's the more money being put into a game, it does have generally, I think,
Affords
it's fair
you
to
some
say,
wiggle room.
Yes, better odds of
Well,
success.
and also Ubisoft's big AAA games generally aren't bad.
Yeah.
Like most of them are at the
Yeah.
very least good.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
They have a fairly good track record at this point.
And I'll be curious. I mean, Massive, like, say what you will about the Division when it launched, but when I went out to Massive for the IGN first, like a year ago, I met those guys. They definitely know their stuff, and they know how to make a big open world. And
That's what I was going to say.
if
They're
I'm
really good
thinking-
with the open world.
yeah, if I'm
stuff.
thinking of Pandora, I'm thinking it's going to be an open world where I can ride around on a dinosaur and, you know,
I bet there's going to be
Fight mechs.
outposts.
yeah.
I bet you're going to climb to something high, and then it's going to put things on your map.
There'll
real
be a,
big trees.
there'll be
Shut your mouth.
there'll be a creature in a cage, and
Please
if you
stop.
shoot it, it comes out.
I'm going to skin something and make a cool avatar wallet.
There'll be a quest where you have to like seduce with your hair thingy a horse
Oh,
and
man.
ride around it.
Seduce
Now,
a horse.
hold on.
the less ponytail sex in this game, the better.
You just tapped into something,
Fewer
Marty.
ponytails.
Few-
I actually,
Shut up, Stannis.
we've seen Far Cry do some weird stuff. I would actually play Far Cry : Avatar
Pandora. Yeah.
or Pandora.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think I would play that game.
Yeah, I mean, if Far Cry was the name of the skeleton that they used, and then slotted in, IPs into it, that would be an interesting take on it.
that could work. All we're saying, Ubisoft, is that could work.
That's what Quinn Hawkins working on.
Don't. No, he's working on Splinter Cell Chaos Theory 2. Damn it! I'm taking that one to the grave. I obviously
You will be
pulled
taking that one to the grave.
Yeah, I will die before that happens, probably. All right. Next up this week, a couple more stories. New game got announced. That doesn't often happen at this time of year, especially when that same game is out in 2 months. The game is called Raid World War II, and it is a co-op first-person shooter that will see players battle and rob their way through occupied Europe.
Like a
Which
reverse,
side of the World War II
like
conflict
a
are
reverse
you-
monument man
Yeah,
kind
so,
of situation.
quote, the goal in Raid World War II is simple. Sabotage, assassinate, and pulverize everything bearing a swastika, mess with Hitler, and steal his treasures.
Mess
relevant.
with Hitler, that little scamp.
Raid World War II's 4 heroes who hail from Great Britain, USA, Germany, and the Soviet Union will be customizable, as will the game's weapons. The class-based gameplay, recon, assault, insurgent, or demolitions, will also cater for a variety of preferred playstyles. Does that sound familiar to anyone, that template?
A little bit.
A little bit?
A little bit.
It should.
Yeah.
There's a good reason.
Why is that?
What does it remind you of?
Little game called Payday
Little
by the
game called-
same studio.
Yes, it is. Starbreeze is developing Raid World War II, and they also developed Payday, which is obviously hugely popular, hugely successful. Appears to be the very template swap we were talking about just a few minutes ago.
I mean, World War II's back in a big way.
It is. It is. It's
Mess with Hitler. I'm still reading the
Mess with Hitler.
like you come up and you just
Rough
smack
as
him on the
Yeah.
back of the head.
It's,
like,
it's
hey,
like an
flick his
episode.
earlobe.
It's an episode of Three Stooges with Hitler, Mussolini.
Shoot it with a spitball
Yeah.
across the room.
Just, who put this whoopee cushion under the Führer's chair?
Mein Butt.
Oh man,
Mine.
steer out of here. Okay. It's definitely a game that exists.
Yeah. So Raid. It's out on October 10th. If you're interested.
Yeah, man, announcing a game 2 months, a month and a half before it's released.
I mean, good on them. We've always wanted developers to do that instead of like announcing their game and you can play this in 2020.
In 3 years. That happens still far too often. But yeah, I mean, hey, it's Payday. Payday is well loved. It's
Yeah.
the same developer. If they sort of take the right tone and the gameplay elements are interesting, it could be fun. I mean, it's October's a tough as nails time to ship a game like this,
Yeah.
I think. But
But at the same time, this developer has had success releasing like games to not a lot of fanfare, but then cultivating a very strong
absolutely.
following
Long tail.
on
Yeah.
Steam,
Yeah,
and
very
then
true.
it just builds slowly over time. Like I remember, I believe it was the first Payday or it was Payday 2 that released that I went and played at a preview event, and I thought it was really cool. And then like I didn't think about it for a long time after that. I captured the direct feed. We like actually it might have been you and me who went to that thing a long time ago.
Sounds about right.
And then like a year later, I read that it was like one of the highest played games on Steam, and I was like, wow, good for them, because I did not expect that.
You're absolutely right. That's a great point. They cultivate this PC sort of Steam community, and those games have a long tail for it. So if they take the same approach for this, I mean, I could see it doing well. You know?
Yeah.
It doesn't have to sell 20 million copies for it to be successful.
Absolutely.
All right. Finishing up this week, Marty
Yes.
Sleva.
I'm very excited.
This is near and dear to your heart. And this is great. I know I tend to crap on remasters in general, but there are always exceptions
to the rule.
And this one is very much old enough.
Yep.
And in this case, it's bringing the game to an entire new audience who never got to see it before.
Yeah, so according to Kotaku UK, Okami HD is coming to Xbox One and PS4 on December 10th.
12th is what I have
12th. Never
here
mind.
from our
Yes.
IGN story.
Which is super exciting because Okami was one of the last great games on the PS2, and then it got an HD version on PS3,
Which is where I played
but
it.
never came to 360, correct?
Yes.
Yes, and
Correct.
so this coming out, on Xbox One, I think would be incredible because this is Okami's. For those of you who don't know, it was Platinum, so it was Kamiya who ended up doing Bayonetta, The Beautiful Joe, Wonderful 101.
Scalebound.
Scalebound,
Sorry.
yes.
Resident Evil 2.
Yeah, Resident Evil 2, yeah. And I don't, to me, it's one of the best Zelda games ever made. I mean, just
Oh, yeah?
I think for a lot of people.
yeah.
Yeah.
It has that giant open world sort of Zelda vibe, but with this gorgeous, painterly sort of Japanese mythology aesthetic to it.
Real tough opening to the game.
Yes.
Tutorials.
Yeah, a lot of them,
Yeah.
which is sort of a Zelda problem in a whole. But this game's awesome and definitely fills a void that you don't have a lot of Zelda likes on Xbox One.
It was really interesting when the game released. Originally, correct me if I'm wrong. This was a Wii thing, right? And it made use of.
it also came out on Wii. So it was
Yeah.
it was PS2, and then it was released on Wii.
Yeah,
And the
that's
Wii
what I
version
was
was the one
thinking
that
of.
had the
paintbrush motion.
no, it had the
control
IGN
stuff, right?
watermark on the box.
What?
They used the IGN image
That is amazing.
of the cover. Like they released the cover image, we put it on IGN, and it had the watermark, and then someone grabbed that and used that.
Put it
So the cover of the game has an IGN
I have to
watermark.
find this. As soon as this is over, I'm going to go look for that image.
That's so funny.
Yeah,
That's
and utilize the waggle. But the game was originally for PS2. Definitely is totally fine with just analog sticks.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I remember that being like a big marketing ploy for the Wii, like use your Wii mode as a paintbrush in this game, and then the game looks really awesome. But I'm like, I could do without the Wii
And I
mode.
think in the
paintbrush
original
thing.
or in the PS3 version, the assets were like 4K, and so I think this game was almost like 4K capable. It was like 4K ready on PS3, and so now I think by porting it over, I think it's going to be
Really?
gorgeous. I think
You
so.
better
Caleb and I were
check you're recording live right now.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's not live. There's something. Caleb
It's
and I were
as
talking
good
about
as
this earlier.
live because we're not going to
Yeah.
edit it later.
Yeah. Oh, dang.
You're going to hang you out to
Well, there's
dry on
something,
this
there's something
one.
about the assets.
Something
There's something about the assets.
I mean, I've never played it, but it sounds great.
It's
But
awesome.
Is it like hand animated, or is it like? Was
It's-
it close to 4K because they were just drawing it back?
It's like paint, like watercolor cell
Yeah.
shaded.
painterly.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's beautiful for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Cool.
Think like kind of like an older, more 2D-ish version of Child of Light or something like
Oh,
that.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
you speak my language right
Yeah,
there.
Yeah.
game's great.
Wow, excellent. So put that on your calendar, your wish list for December. That'll be after you've spent all your money this
Yeah.
fall. Try to save. I mean, I imagine this will
It'll be
probably be like a
$20.
$20
Yeah.
thing. Yeah. So, all right, Brandon Tyrell.
Hey, what's
guest
up?
of honor. What can we spend? What else can we spend our money on right now?
Right now, if you want to spend your money on retail, you can't because it's a big fat goose egg. There's nothing on retail.
Unless you buy one of the. How expensive is that Sonic Mania collector's
God.
thing?
Oh, the thing that Darwish had his
$200?
desk. Yeah, I
yeah,
think
that's
so.
expensive.
Big giant statue.
Yeah, on top of like a
What's
Mega
the
Drive.
statue
On top
of, though?
of
Sonic.
Sonic.
On top of a Mega Drive, and you can hit a button and go Sega.
Sold.
Yeah.
Yeah. Big Sonic guy over here. I was a Sega kid.
Apparently, Sonic Mania is good.
Yeah.
We get an 8.7.
Yeah.
Speaking of Sonic Mania, you can find it digitally for $20. You can also get Jump, Step, Step.
What?
Jump, step for $8 digitally. Mega Man Legacy Collection 2 is also a $20 bill.
Cool.
And then Marketplace, you have playable demos of NBA Live 18 and Surf World Series.
So Live
Did you get to play
18?
with?
Yeah, I went to EA and played it. I'm not saying it's a 2K killer yet, but I mean,
Not
to be
a
honest,
disaster like the
I
last
went
one.
in with very low expectations, which that series has set for itself. Unfortunately, it skipped last year, and the last couple of versions that did ship were not great, but it felt pretty good. It's like there's some good mechanics in there, some good game modes. We talked a couple weeks ago. They've got the WNBA going in, which is fantastic.
Awesome.
From both a equality perspective and just a gameplay perspective, it'll be effectively a different game mode because the women's game just plays differently. So it's a pretty comprehensive demo.
Are they including that story mode that they started a couple years ago again?
That's that you can play a chunk of that in the demo.
Cool. I mean, they brought it to Madden. It seems like it's
seems
working for them.
The new EA thing. They started with FIFA.
Yeah.
And that seemed to be received very well. And now Madden has the long shot mode, and NBA Live. It's called the One.
The One.
Got it. Starring Jet
So
Li.
you become
Li.
you become Neo at the end.
I rewatched that movie recently.
The One?
Yeah.
Why?
Pretty cool, man.
Doesn't it end with like he fights
it
like
ends
1,000
in
of
the-
himself with like let the bodies hit the floor,
Yeah.
some trash song playing?
Yeah. That's exactly.
Yeah.
You're exactly right.
This 2000s?
Oh
yeah.
Sounds about
This
right.
is oh my god, it's so emblematic of like early 2000s action movies.
Butt rock.
Yeah, it's really
And every fight scene is Jet Li fighting Jet Li.
yeah. That's the oh my god.
They
Like
saved
it
a ton on
sounds so
casting.
funny, but it's really kind of cool.
Yeah.
Like there's like a surfer version of Jet Li.
It's a really dumb movie.
It's really
All right. Your August games with gold are Slime Rancher from the 1st to the 31st on Xbox One. Trials Fusion, which is an awesome motorcycle puzzle game if you haven't played it. August 16th to September 15th.
Possibly now, depending when you're
Yeah,
hearing this.
when you're hearing this, on the Xbox One. Bayonetta, August 1st to the 15th.
Last chance
on the 360 and Xbox One. Yeah, last chance for that one. And then Red Faction Armageddon from August 16th through the 31st, presumably.
Yes. Just stop it.
Every week,
Shut up.
whoever's reading it, because it says just
16.
in case you haven't known, in the last 3 weeks, the reason people stumble over it is just because it says August 16th to 3.
Yeah.
It's just the one is left off. It trips everyone up.
No,
It's
it's just
great.
like
So that's either August
figure.
16th through the 30th, the 31st, or September 3rd on the Xbox 360
Shut up.
and Xbox One.
I hate you. You put the show together next time.
Hey, you do a lot of work.
All right. Let's now segue quickly to Unlock Block Trivia. Destin's not here. Chance for you to really just punch him in the ego kidney on this one, Marty.
Wow. The ego kidney.
Yeah, the ego
Do
kidney.
you have 2 of those?
The most important of all the kidneys.
The id, the ego,
He'll
the
be-
super
he'll
ego.
be ego peeing blood
Yeah.
for a week if you can nail this one, because you are currently up by 4 points, which is a lot. That's a month's worth of points, and we're into August already. So, our question this week comes to us from Justin, who writes in, and we've got film. I don't want to say critic. You're not a critic, but film
enjoyer.
film guy,
film enthusiast.
There you go.
Child of cinema.
Yes, the Shark Man here. So this one's works out that you're here for this. Let's see if you get it right. Justin writes in, says, in Mission Impossible Rogue Nation, that would be a Tom Cruise film, the character Benji, played by Simon Pegg, is seen playing an Xbox One game in his office while at work. What game was he playing in that movie? Was it Halo 5, Gears of War Ultimate, Rise of the Tomb Raider, or Assassin's Creed Syndicate? I'm going to go to Brandon first.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Well, because
That's
Sean
for-
said he knew it, so
Yeah,
you can't
go
go
to
first.
the guy that's never seen Rogue Nation. So I'm just going to guess that it's one of the 2 Xbox exclusives on the list. And I'm going to say it's probably Halo 5 Guardians.
Rise of the Tomb Raider may have been exclusive at the time this film was released.
That's true.
Semantic
But you're going
argument
which way?
about what if
I'm going to go
exclusive
Halo.
is.
Halo 5
Okay.
Guardians.
Marty?
I don't think Halo 5 was out when this movie came out. So I'm
I
going
would
to go
like
with
to
Gears.
change my
Ultimate.
answer to Gears.
All right. Shark?
I might be wrong, though.
It is Halo 5.
Oh, dang!
yes.
knew it.
The character of Benji is introduced while he's sitting. He works for the CIA at this point because the IMF has been like dismantled, and the camera lands on him. He's listening to classical music, playing Halo 5 in the middle in this sea of like giant servers and people walking around. And he spots his manager coming behind him in a mirror, and then he like quickly throws away his Xbox controller, hits his monitor, and it switches over to like work stuff. And he's just like, I was not playing Halo 5.
That is correct. It is in fact.
That'd have been really funny at the end of it, and Ryan's like, you are wrong. It's
actually-
Assassin's Creed Syndicate.
I don't know what movie you
I
were
just had a
watching.
fever dream.
He absolutely, that's not his job in the film. He was leisurely playing it at home on his sofa.
All right. Well, good job, Sean. Good job, Brandon.
Thanks.
Did I not do a good job?
No.
No, I did a bad job.
No.
I had one job, and I did not do it.
If you would like to try and stump the panel here and maybe make Destin's life a little worse, you can send your Xbox trivia question. Include 4 multiple choice answers. Please note the correct one in your email. And the email address is unlocked@ign.com. Let's hit the road and start prepping for Gamescom. That is coming up right around the corner.
Oh, so close.
It is very close. We'll have a few folks over there. Andrew Goldfarb on his way over. Destin's going.
going.
He will be there. I wonder if he'll get to play Crackdown 3 and brag about it again. I guess we'll find out in about a week's time. In the meantime, you can follow me on Twitter at DMC_Ryan. I don't think anything else is really going on with me. Nothing that's on the website now. Sean, what are you up to?
You can follow me on Twitter at Shot by Finnegan. I'm currently producing and shooting the IGN show, which airs on Disney XD, DXP, 9 p.m. every weekday. We're back at it.
9
We
p.m.
took a little-
Eastern,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Yeah. Or is it? No, it's that thing where it's Eastern and Pacific.
No, it's 9 p.m.
Don't actually
everywhere.
know.
Okay, thank you.
So wherever you are,
Thank
it's
you for
9 p.m.
clarifying.
So check your local listings is this phrase that we say on TV.
No, it's 9 p.m. across the country. So the East Coast gets it 3 hours before.
Glad you know more about it than
So
I do.
turn on Disney XD at 9 p.m. wherever you are.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I'm working on that. We took a little 2-week hiatus during the Comic-Con area, but we're back, so check that out.
God, you guys are so lazy. You work for 2 weeks and then you take 2 weeks off.
It's so easy to generate 21 minutes of content 5 times a week.
What are you talking about? We babble on here. We babble on these podcasts.
Yeah,
we
who
just
needs
did
a
2
script?
episodes.
We just
this is over
knocked
2
out an
episodes of
hour.
the Disney show.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
Throw it on TV.
We talked about Nazis for a while. We probably can't.
Yeah.
Probably not good. We talked about Nazis on
No,
the
that
show.
was fine. It was
It's all
so-
World War II games.
that was
Yeah.
Starbreeze's fault.
Okay.
It's not our fault.
Nazis are their fault.
Brendan Tyrell.
Hey, you can find me on Twitter at my name, Brandon Tyrell. Lately, I've been
Of House Tyrell.
no longer. They're gone, man.
Oh, dang.
My people.
Spoilers.
Spoilers.
Whatever, everyone's going to be gone by the end of that
Yeah,
show.
if you haven't watched season 7 yet, I apologize. Yeah, I've been working on Assassin's Creed IGN First. If you haven't checked that out, go to go.ign.com/AC Origins. We've put up a few pieces of content
new
so far.
mission, probably the best one so far is as far as like things you just should watch is like the whole combat system is
Yeah.
totally revamped.
Absolutely.
And we've got the video about
Built
that.
from the ground up. We went out to Montreal, interviewed a bunch of people about the game, what they're changing, why they're changing it, and everything you need to know about it. So check that out for sure.
Cool.
That's about it from my end.
Groovy.
We just put up a piece about the lead character's bird
Girlfriend. Piece went up just today.
Are they dating? Him and the bird?
I don't know. It's complicated.
Okay.
Yeah, Bayek and Senu piece just went up today. So
Ooh.
Buy a consent.
Ooh, Senu, swipe right.
We were joking. The lead character of the game is not dating a bird.
that we know of.
That's what is it with you?
Although if he was, it'd be
you love
totally
Banjo
okay.
Kazooie? Are they dating too? You got the man bird.
They're lovers.
They're
or
just friends.
bear bird relationship. Oh man. Let's hit the road. So again, quick reminder: join us for the little pre-show we're gonna do with our Gamescom predictions, and then immediately, like 5 minutes later, you will find out how wrong we inevitably got everything. So, like I said, about 15-20 minutes early. So maybe call it 11:45 Pacific on Sunday or 2:45 p.m. Eastern. We will have Gamescom predictions for you, then the Xbox briefing, and then I will be around because it's the weekend. I'll be here to help make sense of all of it.
Hot takes.
Hot takes. It's my specialty.
Delicious.
So for the Shark, Sean Finnegan, Brandon Tyrell, and Marty Sleeve, I'm Ryan McCaffrey. This was Unlocked 3.0. Man, which one was this one?
3.0 man.
309. That's a lot. But we're just getting started. So we'll see you guys after Gamescom next week.